We hope that today you leave feeling that for the very first time in Southern Nevada, not just one agency, but multiple agencies, organizations are getting together to really address the needs of employers. That's why you're here. You're representing employers. I think, as you all know, our region has 7 target industry sectors. They come out of the LVGA's Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS. I promise I'll try to not use these acronyms that are familiar in our world. But it targets 7 industries. Why? Because, as you know, our economy has been dependent on maybe 1 or 2 here in our state. Hospitality, mining has carried our economy forever. And of course, for almost a decade now, we've been trying to diversify that. And so those 7 industries, you won't find hospitality and mining in there because obviously they're core industries of our state. But these 7 are new emerging industries that we want to foster and grow. So today is the launch of the final 2. So we've launched 5 partnerships for the first 5 industry sector partnerships. We started in March, and today is the final 2, is the finish line. I can tell you, in case you can't see it in our faces, we're really happy we're here today. It's been a heavy lift, but I think it's also important to recognize the fact that just like you here today, there have been dozens of employers that have given us 3.5 hours of their busy days to do what we're going to do today with you here. And they're very happy they did because they're already reaping the rewards, which you should start to reap also in the next few weeks and months. So again, today we'll talk more about this. I can tell you that what we're doing here in Southern Nevada, not only is it the first time that we're convening regional industry sector partnerships so that we can understand your needs and then translate them to what we call the talent pipeline, right? And a lot of people say, well, what is that? Is that just UNLV, which is here, Nevada State College, College of Southern Nevada, post-secondary vocational skill acquisition partners? It also includes CCSD, which is here as well. That's the earliest piece of our talent pipeline, as you know. And so we wanted to really have an aligned mechanism and aligned strategies that meet your needs that start very early in kindergarten and go all the way through post-secondary. So, and it's not an easy lift. I have 550 peers of mine across the nation. There's 550 local boards like Workforce Connections. And I talked to them about this, and there's not one region that has launched 7 in 6 months. It's been, like I said, a really tough lift for us as an organization and through our partners. When I spoke to my partner in Dallas a couple of months ago, I said, how did you guys do it? Because they also have 7 sectors. And they said, we didn't, we just did 3. And so I said, I should have called you earlier, you know? So lesson is don't wait for that call. I have one of my peers of the 550. Nevada has 2 boards. California has 49. Texas has 28. Every state has different, but Nevada has 2. And Wave Milt, he's there in the back. If you want to meet him later, he's here also to learn because he's about to start the launch of his regional sectors up in the Northern Nevada area. So with that, can I have some mics, you guys? Because we're going to go around the room. We're going to start here, and a brief introduction for each one of you, your name and who you represent. This person, we're really grateful she's here because she's here representing her organization, her employer, but she also gives us a lot of her time and love. She is the chair of the Workforce Connections Board. So, Madam Chair, thank you for being here. Mike is yours.
Good morning. I'm Jerry Merritt, Senior Vice President for Bank of Nevada.
Hi, I'm Lori Bean, and I have a franchise with Ameriprise Financial, Silver Point Wealth Management.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Cortez, and I am in Human Resources for Nevada State Bank.
Hi guys, I'm Bobby Misko, and I'm a partner.
I'm Bobby Misko, and I'm a partner at Bon Jovi Law Firm.
I'm Larry Singer. I'm Senior Managing Director of Newmark Knight Frank.
Hi, I'm Danette Suddeth, Regional President and Head of Commercial Banking for PNC.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brandon Davis, CEO of MNGR, Marketing and Advertising here in Las Vegas.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Hugh Lee. I am president and founder of the Nevada Esports Education League, a nonprofit for esports.
Good morning. I'm Carl Nickley, executive producer of Frequency Pictures and owner of On Location Production.
Hello, I'm Jessica Reed Fox, General Manager of JR Lighting, a local lighting and grip company in the film industry.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine Medella. I'm the founder of Storyville Road, a video production and media coaching company. I also spent many years in journalism and can speak to that field as well.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Dufresne. I am head of relationships for the Littlefield Company. We are a video production company in Las Vegas.
Hello, my name is Megan Pasha. I'm the Director of Client Services for Noble Studios. We do website design and digital marketing here in Las Vegas and Reno.
Thank you and welcome all of you. Remind me please, my team, I'll ask you to remind me when they come in, Christian, Justin, Tom, CJ, and Glenn, and Nick to make sure that they're introduced at the lunchtime or something else. So with that, I think we're just going to roll into our process. We are using a nationally recognized model for this process called the Next Generation Partnerships Model, or they call it Next Gen. Again, why we're doing this, as you know, is we're following our regional workforce blueprint. If you don't have a copy, we can get you one, but it's also available online, as you see there at, I think you type in workforceblueprint.org. And it basically highlights the 7 industry sectors and the occupations in demand in those sectors. One other thing that just came out was what we call, where is it? Workforce Blueprint for Kids. Hot off the presses. Here it is. So this is, we're going to be with the superintendent of the school district and some local elected officials in elementary schools on Friday, handing these out to elementary school age kids. And what it is again a way to start the conversation very early to talk about the occupations, the skill sets that are important for our region. This one is very generic about all the industries, but another thing we've done is for the partnerships like these that have already happened, for example, General Advanced Manufacturing, they said we want to book for our sector with occupations specific to our sector, because there just might be one per sector in this one. And so they already got theirs. And if you want one, you'll get one yourself. But I'll go ahead and, Jerry, if you can pass these along so people can see them. Next slide, please. Today what we're going to do again is use this model. Very specifically, the first 90 minutes is about extraction. What does that mean? It doesn't mean what I did yesterday. Yesterday I was at the dentist, so the word extraction means a whole different thing there. If they tell you deep cleaning, that's bad. So, but today we want to extract again your workforce needs. So what are your talent needs in the short term, mid-term, long term? And we'll have, again, 20 to 25 minutes for each one of those things. So start to think about that. Next slide, please. Again, today, right now they're quiet, and we appreciate that. This model demands that you be the voice today. We hear, that's why I'm going to shut up here pretty quick. But here's the partners that matter. Whatever we extract from you, we want to make sure that at CCSD, in the earliest stage of the pipeline, that is being communicated, that that's being implemented, so the young people, when they reach the graduation stage, it's not the first time they've heard about you, your industry, the occupations, and the skill sets that are important to your industry. And of course, the post-secondary partners as well. Next slide, please. They're not here. They're very busy people, and I guess you are too, and that's why I thank you. Our lunch sponsor, something came up. They're in the office of Commissioner Marilyn Kirkpatrick doing something very important, but we're grateful because they're the ones sponsoring our lunch today, so we could keep you here and work through that lunch hour. Next slide, please. Oh, this one's cool. Today you're going to walk away with something really, really cool. The General and Advanced Manufacturing Employers has an employer, if you haven't heard of them. They're called Sunshine Minting. They're a sponsor of the Vegas Knights, the Henderson Silver Knights. But they make coins or currency for countries. I'm talking about countries have their dimes and their quarters. And so when you go to their manufacturing facility, you see pallets of gold bars. It's really crazy. You also see men with machine guns, like because they don't want anybody walking away with that stuff. But that employer has done what we are doing now in Idaho, and believes so much in this process and is so optimistic about what's happening that he made a commemorative silver bar for the Silver State for this effort. And so you'll get yours today during the lunch hour. Next slide. Oh, there it is. And this was one of the things, again, you can see how it's got really cool treatments, polished mirror, medium frost. It doesn't do it justice. You'll have it in your hand here in just a couple of hours. So let's, and then after lunch, we're going to do basically the identification of the solutions. So whatever you identify as challenges. We're going to have you drive how do we solve them. And then what I'll share with you now is that the first 5 sectors, it's been, I was talking to Bobby about this, it's been a lot of commonality, more than not. And so we want to be respectful of this process. I think we could have started and say, here's the challenges that we found in the other 5. And I bet you we're going to be very close after this, but we're going to respect the process and go through it with you as well. But at the end of the day, again, we want to walk away with identifying solutions that are common to all of you. Because obviously we don't have the manpower to solve 1 or 2 problems for each one of you. But hopefully for your industry, we'll identify opportunities for collective action so we can move. So I think that's enough with the housekeeping. Let's get going. I think a couple of people have joined us, am I right? I saw somebody, or no, am I wrong? Oh, the skill acquisition, okay. So again, we're going to introduce you to skill acquisition partners here during the lunch hour. So let's get started. When it comes to the short term, and I'm going to give you an example, what we need from you next is you have some paper notes there in front of you. They're orange, green, and red. We need you to grab the orange and put an idea or a need in per paper. So if you have 2, you'll need 2 pieces, 3, and so on. But we need a challenge there that's a short term. And I'll give you an example. One of the most popular ones is, I can't find bodies, right? There's just not enough talent. Forget about the other problems that are short term. There's just not enough people. I can't identify, recruit enough people, much less hire them, train them. So that's an example of a short term. So write something down. We're going to come and get it from you and start to put it up here and follow our process. We'll have some dialogue too if we need clarification. If you have questions, this is the time to do it as well. Yeah, Brendan has a question. Mike, please. Well, we need a mic because we're recording this. Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Brendan.
Can you identify time periods, ranges for short, mid, and long, please?
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, so for us, the model doesn't lock you down to a time period, but through these launches, we said short term is 0 to 6 months. Midterm is 6 months to a year, and then long term is anything really after that. And I'll give you some more examples. So in the midterm, we have said, there is a lack of, forget the bodies, but the ability to train people in a certain occupation that takes maybe 6 to 9 months. Not enough community colleges offer it. Not enough skill acquisition partners, have it. Not enough programs help the employer fund it within his or her business themselves. Long term, some of the things that were identified was, again, the school district is not producing the workforce I will need 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now. And so those are a little bit of examples to help you guide. Thank you, Brendan, for that. So let's see, you guys getting some of them? Let me know if, okay, so one of the things that's coming up here is to ID resources for hiring talent when entering a new market. Can you give me some clarity on that? Who is that?
That's me.
Can you give me some, can I have a mic over there, please?
So this kind of goes to work with Jaime on this with a new client that is entering our market from Hawaii. And they were unsure as to where to find talent for their operation here. So we connected them with Jaime, but I don't think they would necessarily have known to connect with you outside of our relationship. So how do companies entering our market figure these things out?
So Bobby, thank you. I think what I hear there is they used to call us a while back the best kept secret, I think. Irene hated that, right, Irene? So I think now, thanks to the Vegas Chamber, thanks to the LVGA, our Urban Chamber, Latin Chamber, the partners in the business community we've built, the Library District, more people know about us, right? And so I think we are, as a public workforce system, I think definitely a source of help for businesses. Now, we're not a good match for everybody. I spent 20 years working for MGM, and believe me, the last thing I needed was to talk to a bureaucrat, right? We're trying to build a nightclub or a new tower, and government seemed to get in the way, not help us. That was my bias, and now I'm trying to make sure that I'm not a bureaucrat. and that we're actually helping. So yes, I think part of the reason you're here is we want you also to know about the resources available through the system. And remember this name, EmployMD Business Hub. Today it's not about that, but if you leave knowing about the EmployMD Business Hub, as Bobby said, you'll be able to either, for your own organization or your clients that are small businesses, that's a great resource to help with the needs we're talking about today, and they're free. So thank you, Bobby, for saying that. Another one that I have here is, I'm not sure how to connect with higher ed to recruit talent. Great one. We're going to hear from higher ed a little bit later. Tell me a little bit more about this. Who is this? Yes, Megan. Can I have a mic over here, please?
Hi, yeah, thank you. So we have a lot of folks that are pretty connected here in the community, but still have trouble finding folks within higher education, UNLV and such, to be able to connect with, to talk about our needs and recruit from. I'll just talk through my second one, which is internships. It's a really, really important part of our work and developing the skill set that's needed to create success within an agency environment. Internships are huge. So in that same vein, understanding what internship opportunities are available and how we can make sure that we can be in front of those graduating folks who are interested in internships.
Megan, thank you for being here. Now, yeah, you had me your second question already about internships. Are there places to find? And so one of the reasons you're here is so that we can help you connect to UNLV, Nevada State College, CSN, and even CCSD. We have a principal here today who you'll meet shortly, who is the principal of the was the principal of the #1 magnet school in the nation. That's not a small feat. I don't know how many schools there's in the nation, but if you haven't been to SECTA, over there on the, I would say, southeast side of the valley, used to be called Votech, for those of you who grew up here. What a school, unbelievable transformation, evolution. You just gotta go if you haven't. I still don't know why you leave the best school in the nation, but I guess he told me it's because he's gonna build the next best school in the nation in North Las Vegas. And we'll talk about that today as well. But he is here to let you know that he also has and will have more young people that he wants you to look at. There might be 17, 18-year-olds that they believe are superstars because they don't want to, put their name as a school with somebody who doesn't deserve them. So they have a great pocket of possible interns for you as well, and we'll hear about that later. And I think one of the things we have found through these periods is that in this time of a labor shortage, there's no magic file of people out there, of highly qualified, willing workers, right? Otherwise, you all would not have that problem. And so we talk a lot about what are the alternate labor pools available today. The reentry population who need and deserve a second chance, people with disabilities, the returning vets. But you know what we have also? 50,000 disconnected youth between the ages of 18 and 24 here in our valley. 50,000. And we have 30,000 more graduating every May. And so we have to do a better job in tapping into those young people. Data shows, CCSD's data shows, that half of them have a robust post-secondary plan when they graduate, half of them. So you think, okay, I don't have to worry about those 15,000, just about the 15 that don't. Not true. Of the 15,000 that enter that post-secondary path, half of them don't finish. So now you have 7,500 you got to worry about again. Bring them to the 15,000, that's 22,500. And I'm an engineer, by the way, that's why I'm really good at numbers. But that's a really good opportunity for us. And again, the reason why these partnerships are important, so that what you need gets transferred down to Principal Cordia, who you're going to meet soon, and the other 300 principals in this system. So next one here. By the way, stop me. I want you to raise your hand if you have any question. But this one's something really that's come up every time. Retaining talent after hire. Who was that? Retaining talent after hire. Give me a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Thank you. So we have been noticing a big trend of course, as everybody else is, I'm sure, having difficulty filling their positions, but we get positions filled and then people are leaving very, very quickly after hire, and investing all the time, energy, and resources, money into training, and then they're on to the next thing very quickly.
Do you all share that experience? Is it common? Yep. So, I'm sorry?
You got a yes over here.
Yes. You want to elaborate? You don't have to. Jake's putting you on the spot over there.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Yes, that is a for sure yes. So I'm actually taking a master's in public administration at UNLV. And one of the things we were talking about last night for HR stance is merit. Because we don't show appreciation to those workers, and we don't like give them like, sometimes a pay raise is not what they need. It's just recognition that they don't want to stay, that they see that they're capped, that they see that if I don't get a master's or a doctor's, or if I know the boss better, that I don't get better pay and I don't get the recognition I need. So I think that's a really true statement right there.
Thank you. Yeah, and we've heard it again across every launch we've had. Employers have sat in this room and said, you know, really we have to rethink about what our organizational culture is about. It's not just anymore about being the best paid, it's being the best recognized, you know, the best opportunities, the best, again, today we all know that there is a new expectation of hybrid work. Even though we know there's positions, my friends at MGM always tell me, the ones that stay behind, you know, you can't deal cards remotely or serve food remotely, right, or make beds remotely. And so we have challenges with this reset or resignation, or all the R's they say that are happening now in our economy because of the pandemic. So we've heard businesses say that they need help. And so another thing you can find through Employee Business Hub is consulting services, again for free, or I should just say business solutions. What they do is bring you, if you're a small business especially, because I think the bigger your business is, the more access to these resources they have through corporate structure or whatnot. But small businesses really don't have anybody to help them with these issues about how do I make my company more attractive to this new expectation of the workforce. And so, again, another thing that you'll find through this Employee Business Hub. Next thing we have here, I think this one is, again, we're hearing a lot, finding qualified people to fill the opening. So not just a warm body, but somebody with the qualifications, which again talks about the fact that, okay, so we have to make sure that at all levels, UNLV and Nevada State College are producing 4-year degrees that match what you need. Community college is producing those shorter term certifications, diplomas, degrees that match your demand. But again, we need to do a better job to make sure, and the principals want it. Principal Cordia, who's sitting here, was going to tell you, how do we make sure that young people at 18 are ready to meet your needs? So that we're going to talk about that, so identifying specific ways to do that today. I love this one. We need a mindset shift. Businesses / organizations / schools need to value creative services. So for you financial business sector folks, the creative folks are already starting to advocate for themselves. They're saying, hey, we need a shift. So who is this? I love it. Please give us an earful.
Well, so often, especially now, we are seeing and hearing from students or young people who are interested in these jobs, but for example, this large corporation, they may have all the social media platforms and they say, all right, well, we can just get some college kid to do it for 20 hours a week, right? That's not valuing these positions. And so in order to create a pipeline of people who are skilled at gathering video content, producing solid social media content, writing engaging captions, increasing your metrics, increasing engagement with customers, growing your numbers, that's a lot to expect from someone. And when overall corporations say, we'll just get somebody, and it's not top of mind and it's not looked at as an integral part of your overall brand and marketing strategy, I think we all suffer.
Thank you for saying that. I think, Carl, we had this conversation. You guys as a new, it's not a new industry, we have TV and media forever, but I think in our area, we consider it an emerging industry, an industry or a sector that we need to be mindful about in this pipeline. Again, I can tell Ryan back there is diligently taking notes because he's supposed to be quiet right now, but when he gets the mic, he's gonna be saying lots of things about that, because in this North Las Vegas school that they're building, I believe media, this kind of stuff is a focus. And so, but that's why you're here, so that the school district can hear you and we can craft solutions. Thank you for saying that. And this kind of complements what you were saying, that we need to spread, this was you, I can tell because it's your writing, you have great writing, spread awareness about varied opportunities in creative services. And there's a challenge here that says the ability to hire high-level talent because of existing cost of taxes that are eating up revenue. Can you tell me who is that? Can you tell me, Brendan, a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes into the retention of talent thing. I mean, we've experienced at our agency, we create a culture that's, pretty unmatched, right? I mean, our benefits package, our pay, our workplace environment, stuff like that is very, very forward-thinking, right? And it's comfortable. So we've never had an issue with that, but we have lost talent to higher pay that we weren't able to match necessarily because we've got all this existing overhead, taxation. I mean, sales and use and commerce and all these different things, right? So I think that finding that additional revenue to keep and retain the high quality talent, right? When you're already burdened by existing, restrictions, I think is very difficult. And it's interesting, I mean, just looking at the packet that you shared earlier, which I've had for a while, some of the things that we do, whether it's software development, people in analytics, data, stuff like that, is the number 1 and number 2 highest, right, that they're looking for. So it's like this thing with, like, we've got this high need for it, but some of these companies, I think we're not able to retain because, again, our overhead is already so high with the ridiculous restrictions that are placed on us.
Thank you for that clarification. So even though we as these sector partnerships, we're starting with talent development as the number 1 piece of conversation. As you know, several of you are members of Chambers of Commerce, specifically the Vegas Chamber, who advocates on your behalf up in Carson City when it comes to taxes. But what we gather here is also, again, connected to that. So we're going to make sure that your chambers have that kind of information and make sure that they can be telling your story up in Carson City, but also DC when relevant. How are we doing on the time? Should I be shifting? Okay, thank you. So we're right on time. Thank you for your input on the short term. Let's go ahead and use now the green papers. Oh, and I think we have somebody. So Nick is the only one that joined us, right? Nick, would you please introduce yourself and who you represent?
Hi, I'm Nick Steele. I'm the Executive Director and Founder of Access Community Capital, which is a newly formed loan fund here in Nevada. We have statewide lending throughout the entire state, CDFI information, and always looking to support Workforce Connections in their endeavors because we work hand in hand with them and several of our support programs for business owners, and so I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you for being here, Nick. And I know you have to leave, and I think your spot's going to be taken by, where is he? Is Rodney, is that it? Later? Or no? Yes, okay, very good. So take your green piece of paper and give us now your challenges for the midterm. And again, there's several examples. I think I gave you one about credential programs that are 6 months to a year. Retention is another one, because I heard somebody say we invest, we train them for 2, 3, 4 months, and then somebody offers them $2 more and off they go. That's a midterm problem. And that cannibalizing, as some employers have described it, is very impactful to your bottom line, because the cost of recruitment, retraining, hiring, and then re-recruiting, retraining, rehiring can add up. It can be expensive for you. So give me some, if it's that, great. If there's anything new, because this is going to help us again in about an hour or so, we're going to be able to say, do your 2 sectors, the financial and business services and the creative industries, match or align with the other 5 sectors that we've done already. And we're going to get to solution focus right after lunch, so, or earlier. You guys are overachievers, so. I don't see any green ones on the wall yet, right? Okay. We have one? All right, let me see. Thank you, Jessica. me see what we got here. All right, young workers need to be taught the value of retirement accounts. Wow. You know why I love this? I'm going to give you an example. Here, or in public government, as you know, cities, counties, we're included. There's still this thing that young people don't know what it's called, but it's called a pension, right? And so I still see people, colleagues of mine now, because I'm a government worker. I don't want to say bureaucrat. I would never want to be a bureaucrat. And there's people who started at Clark County, City of Las Vegas, City of Henderson at the age of 18. They're 48 now. It's younger than me, and they're retiring with a full pension. That's something that is like, there's value to that, right? Because you can start a new career at 50. I'm sure you guys would hire 50-year-olds, and so, but that's just one example. But there's many types of retirement accounts. Yes, please give her a mic because she's going to. Yes, absolutely. I want to hear from you.
So our company has actually been going here in Nevada for a really long time. We're in our 31st year of operation, and we've actually been a part of producing a lot of the workers that are out there in the film industry. They've all come up in some way, shape, or form at some time through our shop or as a PA in the industry who has interfaced with our shop a lot. One of the things that we do is we have an internship program where we bring people in from knowing nothing. We train them while we pay them, and the end of their 2 to 3 year term with us, they get into the local IATSE union, they get benefits and pension and all of that started for them. And I have people all the time that turn that down because they need $2 more an hour right now. And they don't understand how much more that's going to do for them at a young age, getting that started, rather than not having an opportunity to maybe do that for another 10 years. And I just can't explain it to where they understand it. It's got to come from somebody that's not me, you know.
And they're in the room. That's our school district, right? I think, again, the principal is itching to tell you this, but yes, I think part of how we produce graduates is that, understanding the time of money over time, right? And so, again, my example was, by the way, we're suffering from the same thing you are. We've lost, in my mind, at least 3, if not 4, young people in the last few months that have left this trajectory of being able to retire at 48 with a grade because they were offered $1 more somewhere else. And so I wasn't able to convince them either to say, do you understand the mathematics of what's happening? But it's just, again, part of this great reset of expectation. And so I think the school district can help us with that, and you'll hear from them here soon also as well. Okay, we're handing, oh man, there's a lot of popular ones now, so let's see. We've talked about this a little bit. Somebody wrote working from home versus coming back to the office. Who would like to expand on that? Who was that? Oh, my chair right here.
Well, in the financial services industry, before 2020, there was basically no working from home. You know, and for a large part of our sector, we went home to work.
Yep.
You know, so now we're asking those employees to return back to their office, actually sit in their chairs and actually do their work. They become comfortable at home, not only doing their job, but even taking care of their family for some of them. So now they have an option. So now they're searching for other industries that will allow them to stay home instead of return to work.
Those are the challenges you're all facing. Can I get is that common to all of you? Yes. Yes, right? Okay, very good. I see Larry. Hang on, Larry, we're recording this. We need you on tape.
Oh, you can't hear me?
It's not tape, it's actually some kind of digital megabyte something, right? But
You know, it ties in my business, I'm in commercial real estate, and it ties into all industries that we're seeing. A lot of companies are moving slowly into full-time, staff being full-time in the office. And my comment really is that there's no room, people aren't looking for advancement. You know, people who want to work from home don't have the ability to, they don't have, they're not in front of people who can advance their careers. And so they'll be sitting at home, nobody will be observing what they're doing, how talented they might or might not be because they're just working from home, how much time they're putting in. And then a lot of people are objecting to these tracing software that companies are starting to put to track what their productivity is. I think working from home really needs to go away.
Right, that's what we hear a lot. It's a very real issue that was created, I think, by the pandemic, and we're all dealing with the repercussions right now, right? Here's an interesting one. Looming bills and pushes from legislators to add taxes to digital services and digital products and the upcoming legislative session. Ooh, I want to hear about this. I don't know anything about it. Ooh, yes, Brandon, please.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as somebody, you know, the gal from Noble or anybody else that kind of deals in like the digital services space, right, where we're providing services, you know, if there's a tax that's added to that, which I know Dean and Neil has got a bill draft request already submitted, you know, that severely hurts all of our industries, right, and that hurts our ability to have the revenue and the overhead to be able to take on new labor. So, I mean, that's something that I'm personally definitely worried about. And there's legislators in the state that, you know, are on board with this. So it's something that, you know, I'm hopefully going to be advocating against because, you know, while I understand the need for additional revenue in the state, I'm just not in favor of that because it's going to hurt thousands of businesses like ours.
Brenda, thank you for that. Irene, would you please take note of this? Because while it's not talent development, yeah, we want to make sure that Mary Beth and Shondell and the other chambers are aware of this, and maybe can even contact these businesses, right? Another one, it says, oh, there you go. Ongoing training that keeps up with technology. I think I know what it is, but I don't want to assume. Who is this one right here? Carl.
So our industry is extremely technological. It's always advancing. There's always new cameras, there's always new lighting that's coming out. As far as digital services, you know, SEO, there's, how many of you guys have tried to run a successful ad on Facebook? You know, that's what these guys do so well. We need to develop infrastructure and accreditation programs that are local here that can take a very experienced workforce and keep up with, you know, 6 months or annualized training on certain pieces of high-tech gear that we use often.
Thank you, Carl, for that. And for those of you not familiar with Frequency Pictures, I mean, their products are, what they produce is really cool. If you haven't been to Preview Las Vegas or events like that, their drone shots, all the stuff they do is fantastic. I have recently, Workforce Connections launched a podcast. I get recently, it's been a year now, I think. So I've learned, Carl, just how much there is involved in just, you know, our little thing with lighting and recording and post-production and post-editing and all this stuff. So I know, again, CCSD and their schools, there's a great opportunity for that, and you're going to hear about that in a few during the working lunch from them. Keeping up with making sure, again, that not just at the post-secondary level, but in the secondary system, young adults are graduating with those kinds of skill sets. Back to you.
Yeah, and I just want to open the door to that from our side. Let us be a conduit for training to these people. You know, we have the equipment, we have the workforce, or maybe it's emerging workforce. We're willing to partner with universities, with schools, to create these programs.
That's what they're here for. We're going to come to Christine next, if you can give her the mic. But yeah, Carl, so one of the things that we hope you will all get from here is you will know your UNLV, you know, folks, your Nevada State College folks, your College of Southern Nevada folks, and your CCSD folks, because we also believe that no one agency can do it all. CCSD can't do it themselves either. If you go talk to those teachers, are so overloaded already with stuff required by the state and the feds, but I think what they're looking for exactly is that employer engagement, and so you'll hear soon, they will welcome your involvement. So that's one of the reasons that we're convening this partnership to connect you. Christine.
I just wanted to piggyback off of you, Carl, and say Storyville Road, we're very open to that. We do internal training for our teams. We also do trainings for media groups here in town, and I'm a part of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and we do education and training events for our membership, but we've also done events at UNLV and are always looking for opportunities to collaborate and do shared trainings, because I think that also helps the pipeline. But making connections, I think you're absolutely right. Finding, our organizations know how to do it.
Yeah, I think that our in general, like, this industry is, you mentioned, it's emerging, but it's not really emerging anymore. Like, creative industries is top of mind. Can you go to the bathroom without taking your phone and watching a video or doing whatever? That is a industry, that is a sector, that is a multi-billion-dollar effort annually, and I think that Nevada is in a really interesting position with some upcoming legislation and just the exodus from the West Coast into areas like Las Vegas, which we are the entertainment capital of the world. Sports just prove that on a whole nother level. Why can't creative services, why doesn't this exist here at a more volume scale? So I think that if we could have some sort of coalition or some sort of alliance where we're constantly talking, coming up with these programs and working with universities, so we're not like on individual islands trying to do it, I think that would be.
Oh, she's got an idea about that. Yeah. So again, one of the issues or one of the reasons why this national model called the Next Gen model is to, sometimes you don't know each other, or sometimes you need a facilitator or an organization that does the lift of convening you. And so that's kind of what we want to do, and not just alone your workforce board, but have CCSD, have the other skill and precision partners part of this sector or industry convening. Again, this is day one, but I'm really happy to see your enthusiasm and your energy and your request for advocacy, because we'll be your partners in that. Again, and so will the chambers. They're important, LBGA, and helping this industry grow and get their needs met, specifically in the talent piece. So I have one here that I want to make sure before I run out of time for this section. Who wrote accreditation programs that directly apply to departments? I want to hear a little bit more about that. That's you, Carl?
Yeah.
Okay. Departments. I want to know about what that means.
Yeah, it's kind of reiterating the industry trades that we deal with every day. So it's not just camera or lighting or art department. These are very, I guess, multi-year disciplines that people don't understand why productions cost so much. It's because you're paying for this intellectual property, if you will, of this knowledge of years and years and years of doing it on the ground. There's a reason why, it takes a village to produce a lot of this stuff. And if we had ongoing accreditation programs, either by, department, or if it was even just sector-based, like commercials versus feature films, or what is it like to be on digital versus the other side. I think that would be really valuable for at least midterm workforce here in the state.
Thank you for that clarification. Now, a while back, we hired you to do something, and when we were negotiating the price, we had a lot of dialogue. Is that why you looked at me when people don't understand the intellectual? Oh, okay. All right. It was way worth the money. It absolutely was. Last one I'll do is, and by the way, again, jump in, stop me if there's an idea that's not being touched. This is your time. Matching opportunities and federal stimulus programs with potential workforce graduating from high school. I want to hear a little bit more about that. That's Nick. Can we have a mic over here, please?
This was, I think, as we try to identify gaps in the workforce, it's important to be forward-thinking, right? So you look at the biggest spender in our country, and it's the federal government. So there are a bunch of federal stimulus programs that are coming down the pipe. The Inflation Reduction Act was just passed. And so you look at industries like infrastructure, construction, clean energy, electricians. There are so many disciplines that can satisfy that work that's coming and will be here for the next decade or so. And so kind of making that connection between colleges and high schools and employers on the other side, I think is hugely important. And that's the same case for other industries as well. Same with financial services, where I was just in a conference, and underwriters are in demand. And so, kind of making that connection between what's in demand for the professional services and what's available from the supply standpoint in workforce, I think there's a huge gap there that can be achieved.
Thank you for saying that, Nick. One of the things that we already are working with CCSD, because this is again common thread across employers and industries, is how do we start to plant these facts in that early pipeline? How do we teach young people that underwriters are in demand and that it's a profitable, and rewarding profession? So is being an electrician or a plumber, or all these different things that perhaps are not first in line when they're in school years. Well, those activity books are the first thing. Elementary school present the information, but then in middle school, how can employers still interact with the school district and the teachers and the classrooms and the kids to say these things? So we're working on an online platform with the school district called Pathful Connect. It was formerly known as NetPris, in case you guys are familiar with it, but it's a digital way for, again, employers to connect to middle schools and high schools and start to have these conversations and work with principals on, visits too. Maybe it starts digitally, but one day an employer can go to a classroom and say, underwriters or creative, production folks make this much money, and we need tons of them. And by the way, some of the assessments that you've taken in the classroom point you in that direction. You have the natural traits and abilities that match up. Would you like to know more? I'll give you an internship. Who is the internship? Right here. I'll give you an internship. And so we're talking about with school district on tours for these kids, identifying those who would be a good match and bring them to a bank, a real estate company, a film production, broadcasting, whatever those things are. And so you'll hear more about that in the solution portion about the things that are already in place. I know I got to move on, but they wanted, sorry? Oh, we have a comment. Thank you.
And well, just to piggyback on that, my husband's a high school teacher. My daughter's a junior. Actually, she's looking at going to film and being in animation.
Ooh,
so I'll be taking her out. And I was excited to know that that's a growing industry, because I'm like, are you sure accounting isn't better? But, the one thing that I have definitely noticed over the years is, I remember 100,000 years ago when I was in middle school and high school, we always took the career assessments. Like, I knew mechanical engineer was not the way I was supposed to go. And, you took the skill set, and now I don't think my children have ever took anything that kind of directed them towards, hey, by the way, did you know you're really good at visual arts, or you're really good at this and that? And growing up, I didn't even know a financial advisor was a job. And, and when I was just at Mojave on Monday doing a presentation to one of their business classes, and the kids didn't even know that this was a career. And I think that opening them up earlier, but with those tests, to kind of get them aligned, like, did you know you could do this? This is a field. You can make money doing this. Underwriting, I mean, what kid sits there, at 7th grade and goes, wow, I dream of being an underwriter. But like, if you present it as, hey, you're solving puzzles and using data, and you're really good at that. There's more to life aside from being a TikTok phenomenon, which is what I think they all want to do. So, although again, there's an arena for that. So I think that's great, but I think you hit the nail on the head. There's no exposure to that at all.
Lauren, about a year ago, I think it was, maybe during the pandemic, I asked my kids a question and they laughed. It hurt my feelings, but I said, what is TikTok? And they laughed at me, so now I don't ask questions anymore because I felt so bad. By the way, I'm a mechanical engineer. Nick.
I thought that was a great comment, and I would just add is, if you're developing this online platform, I would reach out and partner with the creatives, right? Because the way to reach kids these days is in a much different way. We're not going to job fairs and learning about our careers. And so, building something in the metaverse, or some other way to actually reach kids and make it more interactive so that they can actually see the different pathways, I think is probably the way to go.
each one of you is gonna receive an invitation by Adrena to get on this platform, and then maybe help us improve it, help us use it the right way to meaningfully connect with these kids that who you're here, the representatives here soon. I want to talk about this one a little bit because it's a common one. We've heard about DEI across all 5 sectors. So diversity of qualified employees with required skills. We've heard from employers that certain segments of the population are not equally represented, and how can we do better on that? So who's this? Danette.
Hi, this is an issue that's been in the financial services industry for years, and it's not significantly better yet. So to the credit at UNLV, in their finance programming, they're working on this, but I think it has to start much earlier so that we are getting interest just to everything that's being said already. And then when they are interested, that we're giving them the proper interpersonal skills so that they can then qualify for those positions is equally important. It's got to be a two-way street, not just getting them in the class or more interested in the field, but providing them with the necessary training that isn't just all the technical skills, but those interpersonal skills.
Well, thank you. Then I'm looking forward to, again, in the second 90-minute session, finding a way to put a deliverable on that, right? Here's an action item that we can do. Oh, and we have Lori there to make sure that that happens, and it's not, it continues to be just a opportunity for improvement, but that we actually improve on it. Lori.
Well, and just to piggyback on what you said, on my sticky yet, but to be able to interact with other people in person. I've seen a huge drop off. I mean, we've had high school interns that come in the phone rings and they're like, looking at it like, well, you need to answer it. So even over the phone, to have a conversation, it's been an issue, or how to greet a client, shake someone's hand, look someone in the eye, and have a conversation. And you don't get to turn your camera off in real life. And I really have seen a huge gap in the last few years in how that works. So I think that that's something too, to just kind of build on that.
Isn't that awful when you're in a Zoom call and there's only like 2 people with the camera on and everybody else? It's awful, huh? I never thought about that. You don't get to turn your camera off in real life. That's really profound. And by the way, Lori just exemplified something I want you all to do. They gave me a paper that said face-to-face, and I sent it back, and you jumped in there and said, I don't care, that guy didn't pick me, I'm going to say my thing anyway. And that's what I want you to do. Make sure your idea is heard, despite whether I think it's already been talked about or not. So good job, Lori. Are we ready to move on to the next one? Okay. So we're going to move now on to, sorry, I see some hands over there.
Oh, he just came in.
Oh, thank you. So Christian, you haven't introduced yourself. We want to know who you are and who you represent. Thank you.
Yeah, hey guys, Christian Bishop. I'm a director over at Twitch, streaming platform that Amazon acquired a while ago. So we've been building a platform for a while, over 150 million people jumping on, enjoying the content every month and streaming. In fact, funny enough, there's people under 25 here in Vegas earning tens of millions of dollars on our platform, streaming from their homes and able to make an income for themselves. So it's an opportunity, our platform, working with something like you're working on building, to actually be a magnet to attract young people, and then get them involved in other programs, engineering, mathematics, science. We've got content creators making music, art, streaming to audiences, and monetizing. So glad to chat and try to be a resource.
I've learned those terms too. My kids have taught me about YouTubers and monetizing, that stuff I didn't know about. But the CCSD guys are being so good. They're like, oh my God, I want to jump in right now and connect with you guys. But that's going to happen. So welcome, Christian. And I know you joined us a little late. If something that you're hearing doesn't make sense, just stop me and say, why are you, what is that about? But we're here to, again, try to identify your needs and then identify later opportunities for collective action to solve some of the issues we're extracting right now. So we're going to move on to your talent, your long-term talent needs. But if Brandon can help it, he's not going to just talk about talent. He's going to let us know about other things as well, and that's cool. We want that. Thank you, Brandon, for being that voice on other things like taxes that you don't need as small businesses. Wow, this is already, I didn't even say red paper. See, these guys are smart. Because I didn't tell you, I'm already getting red papers. So the first one that we got here that the team wants me to talk about is, and I agree, I want more clarity. What does it mean by acknowledgement and visibility? Thank you. Is Hugh the correct way?
Yes, it's Hugh.
Okay.
Really quick, good shout out for the Creative Caucus. I can't wait to see it.
Right?
And on top of that, quick shout out for thank you for having all of us here. And I think that's something we needed, advocates. My industry has not been talked about, mainly because there is no visibility or acknowledgement. I run esports. I work with 5,000 students directly. I have 18 people working for me for free within the entire city, and growing 18 for free, to help provide a industry of video games, creative like social media outlets, organizing the community, charities, all for free. And they are all students. Every single one of them is either a college student, high school student, and heck, we even hosted the city's first ever esports summit, video game wide, in the entire year, and we had everyone come out for free. So it runs around with acknowledgement and visibility. Everyone in here, y'all are doing amazing work, because literally Las Vegas doesn't build with just the buildings. It builds with the people in the building. And I think we just need more acknowledgement to what the industry we're working with, whether it be creative spaces, whether it be financial. Every single student I've talked to has been impacted in some sort of way to say, I want to do that, and I want to do this. Very disappointing that I couldn't tag Workforce Connections on Instagram, but it's okay.
What is tagging? No, I'm just kidding.
It's a whole nother meaning now than what it is before.
Oh, then I don't know that.
But it's visibility of showing about how everyone here cares about our students here. We care about our workforce, and we care about what Las Vegas becomes. Because we all know Las Vegas is a melting pot. We are the entertainment industry, but we're also the industry that cares, right? Hospitality is our main industry too. And then I'd like to mention two things that hasn't been said that I put on.
Please.
For short term was better technology. I think our schools can understand that. Besides from the esports stuff that I do, I also work for Clark County, and I work closely with CCSD for SafeKey, and I know we don't have the technology we need for teachers, for kids, and for everyone, including parents. And then the other thing is degrees. My whole entire industry is not like broadcasting or journalism or like graphic arts or marketing. We don't have a single degree. And yet I have a total of 5,000 students up and down the state wanting to get in this industry for free to do work and just make money later on. And then it's like something I brought about to retain people. They don't care about the money so much anymore. They care about the acknowledgement and recognition. So,
You just did a great job in advocating for esports, right? Don't you guys think? You did a great job. I think I hear about it a lot at the LVGA. I know Jeremy Oreo, Tina Quigley are talking about the future of esports all the time. And I would say to you, we're going to go to Jessica next. I would say to you, when people talk about esports, I know it doesn't look like it by what you can see today, but I used to be an athlete. Come on, a little. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But I used to play college soccer, but I always thought about soccer as something you go to a stadium to pay for and watch live athletes compete and score goals and show amazing feats of athleticism. But the reality is that now I found out people are paying to go watch people play a game of soccer. And there's money involved and prizes. So, and my kids told me, they said, why is it so hard for you? He said, and my kid said to me 10 years ago, if I would have told you that you would put your daughter in a stranger's car and send her to the airport, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's a changing world, and you guys are in charge of it, I guess, right? So yes, Jessica.
I just quickly wanted to say something in regards to your comments, because I think that it is incredible that you have found so many people that are passionate about what they do to the point that that's what they're willing to do to be able to do it. I just feel that we need to find ways to foster that passion in our young people. I know that I myself growing up was told that I would never be able to make money as an artist. I needed to be the CEO of a company so that I could take care of my family and live a comfortable life. And that kind of stuff starts at a very young age. We need to find a way to foster that passion, because if I had that kind of passion for what I do, I would never be at a loss for finding a shop intern.
Thank you for that, Jessica. I agree, Hugh. Thank you for being here. Oh, yes.
Yeah, just a comment
You
on
get
that.
everybody excited, Hugh.
Passion, right?
No, look, I love it. Every day's a dream come true for me. I'm a gamer. You know, my dad said, hey, go do something productive with your time, get off the computer. And I've been able to build a life and a great living in an industry that I love in video games. So it certainly is something that is sustainable and doable, not to be discouraged. There's plenty. It's a huge growing industry. Esports is getting bigger and bigger. The Nevada Control Board has a technical esports committee where they're working through being able to license for wagering in esports here. So it's coming. It's booming. You're doing great work, and yeah, it's a real thing.
Yep. Again, this advocacy, the creative industries is something that it was hard for us to define too. When you read the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy for our region, it lists esports, it lists again media production, podcasting, all these YouTubing, all these different things that just 6, 8, 10 years ago, what? What do you mean you can make money on YouTube? Okay? So that's what this new creative industry sector is all about. Here's one that I can't wait to dive into because it starts to get spicy. The education funding formula. It needs to change to provide opportunities like video production programs to Title I schools. Who would like to? Ooh, okay, Christine.
I don't know if I've heard education funding called described as spicy, but I totally know what you mean. So I am a volunteer mentor at Doral Academy's video production, continuing education, anyway, acronyms. So that is a well-funded school, and they have a studio, and it's great. And I love being able to provide and help provide opportunities for these high schoolers, things that I didn't even have available. And then I go to Title I schools, and the opportunity, they don't even have adequate computer systems. So again, I put this in long-term because it also addresses what Danette was talking about providing access to diverse communities. And if you don't even have a computer until you're in high school that you are able to use every day, how you're cutting off entire sectors of our community to even be able to have the passions that Hugh described. So that is not something I know we're all going to solve, but I just wanted to raise it because it is a grassroots thing that needs to change to provide access to people of all backgrounds.
Thank you for saying that. I think that, again, Ryan, Sanala, I'm sure you guys have lots of notes. There's a lot to unbundle for you, right, when you guys finally get the stage out. But you're definitely touching on what we think we can do better at, this connectivity. And believe me, the desire is there by the teachers and principals and the team at the Clark County School District. So we're going to get there. It's not easy. I mean, when I said spicy, I don't know if you guys watch TV lately, but there's been a lot happening with the school district, but I can tell you it doesn't have to do with this principal and with Sanal and the people working. They want to do this stuff. It's the politics that get involved, right? It's all this other bigger stuff. But so again, hopefully the voice of business will help eliminate some of the noise and say, let's get some stuff done. We need this, we need that. So that's what this is about. Yes. Oh yeah, Christian.
Sorry, I'm talking so much. Just on the infrastructure piece, working with you, the schools, what you could do is work together, create a system, a community, a league, and I can help you get sponsors from these computer companies to actually provide gear, where if you come together and you have this significant offering, because you have all these different schools with all these different students, then you have a program that's sponsorable and fundable. And we do that. We fund these programs. These computer companies do it in our space, and gaming is the catalyst. But then you can use that for everything else you want to do. So the opportunities are there.
Thank you, Christian. Christine? We have more than one mic, right? We keep moving to one mic only. No.
I was gonna mention this afterwards, but high-key, I've already started a computer lending program for CSN students and high school students. But that's all thanks to Workforce Connections at the state of Nevada. Yay!
I didn't even know.
Yay! Workforce.
I don't even know about it, so thank you, Hugh.
But then even to address what Christian was talking about with public-private partnerships. So Jerry and I serve on the Nevada Corporate Giving Council together, and that is an organization that I would love to invite you and Twitch to, where we gather corporate funders and their dollars that they can help raise, and then we, through research and data, identify key targets within the state in order to partner with public organizations, private organizations to address some of these key needs. So also getting Workforce Connections, I think, involved in some of those public-private partnerships. Through Nevada Corporate Giving Council, we were able to provide Chromebooks during the pandemic to those Title I schools. So it can happen, but we just need to continue that outside of a global crisis.
Thank you, Christine. I'm going to go to Larry in 1 second. Larry, give me I need to fulfill this model that we need to do. In the model, it demands that we as facilitators make sure that every employer participates. And so I've been keeping tabs, and there's one person whose name starts with Chell and ends with C, who is that I'm going to come and pick on if, and I know, again, I'm sorry. So think about it when you want to weigh in, but we're going to want to hear from you and get you on the record and make sure that Littlefield Company and anybody else you want to represent is being heard as well. So Chelsea, I want to come back to you. Larry.
Yeah, I want to speak for this side of the room for a minute, because it's great that technology and the technology people and the artistic people and creative people are pushing the importance of technology in their industries, but let's not forget that the service industries, the financial industries also need to have young people have access to technology, and I don't think that that gets discussed enough today, because if I look at the future of my industry, there aren't a lot of young people coming up through the ranks. You know, I put down there one of my problems long term is retention. In my industry, it takes a year before you start earning any kind of money, 5 to 7 years before you are proficient in my business, and by the time they do that, they very often move to a different company. So, so two aspects here is one, let's not forget about the importance of technology to our industries and getting youth interested in learning about our industries and the technology involved with that.
Thank you. I was wondering when you guys were going to start to
get
up and rile up.
As the old guy in the room, I like to always...
Very good. Thank you, Larry. We heard you loud and clear. I have an idea here that I've been holding. The paper is going to disintegrate if I don't say it and lose its glue. Improvement of local talent pool. I think I know what it means, but I want to hear directly from you. Who wrote down improvement of local talent pool? Bobby, okay.
So I don't want anybody from the education side to throw anything at me, but I feel like everybody can agree that Nevada's education system has had challenges, right? So how do we, as a community, make sure that that gets better so we are pulling from our own local talent pool instead of going outside to find individuals to come into work in any of our industries? I think that's very important, and it seems to be kind of spiraling, and not sure how to fix it. I'm not that guy, but I think it does need to be addressed.
Thank you. It's been a common thing in the long-term category across all 5 industry sectors until today. I'm not surprised it's also part of yours, because absolutely, again, we do, we're trying to shine the light actually, and the principals and the team at CCSD are happy about it. We're trying to shine the light at the fact that again, talent development or workforce development starts in kindergarten. Let's not kid ourselves. I sent my kids to school because one day I know I won't be around and they need to support themselves. And so we need them to learn a skill and again, do hopefully something that's rewarding for them in life, they feel passionate about and use their naturally given skill sets. But also, again, let's not forget earn a living, because we don't want them to have to be supported by the government or family or, God forbid, us work until we're 80. And so We send them to school because we want them to be, gain a skill that they can have a productive life. And so it starts in the K-12 system. And again, yes, if we're watching TV or hearing things, there is a lot of frustration, including the business community, and there's conversations about how do we fix it. Again, this is where it gets spicy. I have my opinions about, the governance structure, right, or the board, and, how the things that I see happening. Again, I used to work for MGM for 20 years, and, you need, the school district is like $1 billion organization. They have infrastructure, facilities, they have, transportation like the RTC, so many buses, they have, food production. But when you look at the Board of Governors, there's none of that expertise there. There's no business people there. So I can see, now you got me talking about what I shouldn't be talking about. But yes, I think it's a problem that neither you or I can solve, but the business community does need to be involved about how it goes. What I do know is, because I know them, is there's lots of people where their heart's in the right place, like your husband, like these gentlemen back here, who want to do the right thing for the kids, but are caught in this bureaucracy who, again, that is not working as efficiently as it should, and we do have to solve it. Gloria, I saw you and Jerry. Oh, Jerry first. Jerry, you.
Yes, I was just wanting to follow up on the statement about.
Keep me from talking, Jerry, because I get all excited.
I was going to pull your coat, but I didn't. His comment on the talent pool, actually here in Las Vegas and of course in Nevada overall, I would say was starving in the financial service industry. Just in an onboarding session at my own bank just a few days ago, we hired 7 people, and all 7 of them was from out of state. And the reason why is that because the talent pool within the banking industry is no longer here. We have spent the last few years of just swapping bank employees from bank to bank, because we would give them a few more dollars to come work for me, and then she would give them a few more to come work for her, because there was actually no employees to actually choose from. There was no talent. We were not actually growing our own. So the question is now, is how long is it going to take us to grow a new talent pool within the financial service industry so that we won't be hiring from outside of the state? Even within my own company, we just hired a senior executive from outside of the state. Which I'm happy that we have a new senior executive, but we should have been able to choose the talent, if not from within Las Vegas, from within Nevada.
Thank you, Jerry. Home growing our own talent, again, is very important for us moving forward if we're going to continue to grow our economy, attract new businesses, and again, CCSD is where it starts. Lori.
2 quick things. One is, I'm not representing Ameriprise Corporate, but I know they had set up to put a call center here in 2010, and they were going to hire 800 people, and they've actually scaled back, and there's about 150 people left, because we always called it the get out of a box test, like very basic math skills. They couldn't find people in Las Vegas that could pass it, let alone the financial, background check. So absolutely on that. But kind of back along with CCSD, and again, I'm married to a teacher. And if there's one thing that you could do as a school district, is if you could please let the kids fail. This pass them along, the 50% if you turn something in or not, and I know that almost 100% of teachers are behind this, and administrators. I'm having issues with staff that I hire where, first of all, I have honor students who don't know how to address an envelope. So that's kind of challenging, because, well, who does mail? Well, you still have to mail some things. But the fact that there's this oopsie daisy if I make a mistake. I just fired someone, she made a $10,000 mistake and was like, whoops, and it was the 3rd time she'd made a trading error. Because there's so many times you get to do over, and that's not real life. And I think for anybody, like if you sent anything out to a client where you're like, that's just wrong, and there's this thought of, well, just turn it in late. I'll turn it in, and it's been a perpetual issue. And I hate to be like, well, back in the day. But I think if kids learn to fail early, then they learn how to fix it. And it's not when you sit there and you're like, hey, that's incorrect. And they're like, you know, the lip starts going, and like, oh my gosh, you've never gotten anything below a C because they've always given it to you. And I know that you gotta deal with teachers, you gotta deal with screaming parents. My husband gets the emails every time at 11:59, Mr. Bean, can I please turn it in now? And there isn't that professionalism that's being taught. A deadline is a deadline, and I don't mean in elementary school, fail a test as much as you want, retake it as much as you want, but by the time you're in high school, you've gotta know that there's a consequence to failing and that it's okay to fail because that's how you learn. And I really think we're taking it away from the kids. You know, my daughter's come home before, oh, I got a D, like, well, it's because you were screwing around and you didn't study. Like, and you know, they let her retake it and she just she's not learning that. So that's just my parent, and I think we're really getting kids that just aren't even trying.
Thank you, Lori, for that. I'll share, oh, Larry, you next.
Yeah, so with regard to the education system here in the state, I've lived here for 30 years and we've always been 48 or lower. And my opinion, and it's my opinion, and I've always gotten a bunch of crap back when I say this, is that there's no incentive for our main industry, the tourism industry, to support education in our state. If they need an MBA, they need to hire somebody who has math skills or any kind of financial skills. They can go out of state. They can go to UCLA. They can go to Southern Cal. They can go to Harvard, whatever. But it doesn't take a higher education or an education at all, really, to park cars, serve meals, make beds. And I've always thought that a key here is to really figure out a way, and I don't know how to do it, but figure out a way to put the onus on our tourism industry to really get behind education here, supporting computers. You know, why is it that a 6-year-old, no matter what school he's in our community, cannot have a computer? 6-year-olds, that may be too young, but I don't know. I don't know that. My friends' kids at 6 have phones and computers, so I just don't know what the answer is to that.
Larry, Irene, by the way, those of you who don't know, Irene's part of our team, but she used to legislate up in Carson City for 8 years, used to be my colleague at MGM for 20. But Irene, I hear Larry saying he wants to be on a BDR that says, if you're gonna tax somebody, don't tax these small businesses, tax the strip. Is that right, Larry?
Well,
not that quite.
I'm going to make a comment that goes back to when I first moved here. We don't want to kill the golden goose. So that's my only comment with that. But there's got to be a way.
No, I hear you. I hear you. One of the things that I'll share with you as we, 2 comments. Number 1, Larry, that's why we're here. 10, 20 years ago, there wasn't a regional industry sector partnership for business and financial services, and there wasn't one for creative industries either. But now there is, because again, we are diversifying our economy. So to your point, I think we need to evolve our school district, the funding formula, post-secondary, because CSN, UNLV, Nevada State College are in the room too. We need to evolve to serve this new economy. One that's no longer just about an industry with tons of entry-level jobs. I spent 20 years in those buildings. But about this economy that needs these skill sets we're talking about today. I think that's what I heard you say, and hopefully we're capturing that on the boards, right? Let's see. Did I miss a hand here? Maybe I did. Larry wants to say something else. We turned them on now. Larry is. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, you got you going.
You got me revved up. Let's talk about evolving again for a minute. If you look at what's going on currently in the employment sector here, other than technology, most of our expansion is in the industrial sector, warehousing, distribution, fulfillment. They employ very few people.
Yeah, don't let me forget, I asked for your help. I forgot about it once in a while. I want to tell you something about the state's role in education. But whether it's Tina Quigley at the LVGA, Larry, or Chambers of Commerce, I think I hear more and more them talking about how we do need to be smarter and more intentional and purposeful on who we attract here. Because you're right, not only do we not want somebody who takes up a bunch of land with no jobs, because we don't have a lot of land. I hope we can change that too with the federal government. We also don't have a lot of water. So we don't want companies that come here with heavy water use. And then again, we don't have a line full of ready workers, so we don't want to, so there's a balance. And so we have to be smarter about how we do economic development. That's something I hear more and more, especially from the new leader of the LVGA, Tina Quigley, who's on the Workforce Connections board, by the way. State, I didn't forget. How many of you did you know that in the state of Nevada, a child is not required to go to school until he or she is 7 years old? Some of you knew, yep. How do you think that supports this idea of every kid should read by 3? Not very well, right? How does it support us saying to businesses, we're the place where we want you to come because we have a great workforce? Not very well, right? Another thing about the state and our state, we test every kid for college readiness. Everybody, my kids took the ACT. Again, you've heard about how many end up going to college. So why test all of them? But here's even something more important. All the state requires is that they test. Not that they pass or are good at it, but they test. Another one. As Larry said, we used to be, 49, 50, right? Well, last year something happened. I heard the State Department of Education say, well, now we're 36, hooray! You know what happened? You think the test scores got better? We lowered the expectation or the standard so more can pass. So I know you as a business community is saying, how can that produce a better workforce? It can't. And so it's not just CCSD is what I'm saying, or Washoe County or Esmeralda County, because there's 17 independent school districts in our state. But there's stuff at the state level that hopefully the Vegas Chamber and the Latin Chamber, Urban Chamber, the LVGA are going to go advocate on your behalf to say, come on, if you want us to have the right kind of workers, then let's make sure that we're investing in them, formula funding, that we're providing the computers, the tools, the exposure, all of the stuff. So, see, Jerry, I'm going to get in trouble again. Jerry, you're not stopping me. But we're nearing our time, the end of our 90-minute extraction session. That wasn't painful, right? Certainly not like my deep cleaning yesterday. Oh, they're ready. They're raising their hands, and I'm going to go there because we've heard a lot. I'm going to start introductions now and also tell you that you can start your lunch anytime. You have your lunches in front of you. We're going to work through lunch. So I'm going to start with introductions.
Just wanted to tell the group we do have some fruit platters if you'd like to add that to your lunch, as well as mustard and ketchup packets, chips, and soft drinks.
Yep, so we have all kinds of stuff in the back. Please move around, but keep listening, please. Keep listening, because we're going to start to introduce some folks. And I'm going to start over here to start acknowledging some people. Joining us on behalf of Nevada State College today is Tom Nicholas from Cristo Rey St. Viator School, Aldrich Simon. From the City of Las Vegas, Ed Thompson. From UNLV, Sher Singh. I hope I'm doing that right. Is that right? From College of Southern Nevada, Frank Woodbeck. And my colleague George wants you to know that the restrooms are right outside this door here that's open right now. Just over here by this door that's open. I also want to acknowledge from the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, Ana Lopez. From Vegas PBS, Juan Rangel. And from the LVGA, Bill Renhar. Where are you, Bill? I haven't seen you for a while. Is he outside, Bill? Okay, I'm going to move over here and introduce you guys to some other of our skill acquisition partners who are in the room diligently listening to you. And I know that the word CCSD has come up a lot, so they're going to be the first ones to get the mic. From the Vegas Chamber, George Hempy. From the Governor's Office of Economic Development, Stacy Boswick. From Nevada Works, one of the other 550 local boards across the nation, our neighbors, we call it our sister board. Why isn't it brother board, no? Sister board. Bill Stewart. Okay. From ECRIS, Yvette Bayless, and from the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation, Jeremy Phillips. If you haven't forgotten that word, Employee Business Hub, Jeremy is part of that team. So you probably want to get Jeremy's card before you leave today. Chelsea, I'm coming back for you. Don't think I forgot. So I'm going to give the mic. I'm actually going to ask Ryan and Sanal to come up for a second over here with me. You guys come over here with me. grab a mic each. Come over here, Ryan. How about a hand for the principal of this #1 school magnet in the nation? Yes, please. That's a big deal. So, introduce Principal Cordia, formerly SECTA, but now going to be at the new Career Technical Academy being built in North Las Vegas, and Sanel. These are our partners at CCSD, and again, they've heard a lot of stuff, so I'm going to give them 5 or so minutes to address you and start to unbundle some of this stuff. Ryan, you go first.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you all for being here. This is a group that's thirsty, obviously. We take a lot of darts on public service. A lot of us dedicate time, energy, sweat, equity, and we don't get too many thanks. In fact, we get a lot of times told how bad we're doing, and that's the only feedback we get. So I had wrote down earlier, thank you for not being that group, and then I had to erase that because that switch here was as soon as the finance sector woke up. But the public schools are people. And so when we say things like the schools are bad here, we're saying the people are bad. And we're not going to help teacher retention, teacher recruitment, teacher talent, our pipeline in our school system if we don't agree that it's all of our job. It's all of our community, it's all of us to celebrate what we can do and pump this industry up so we can get teachers in. We are bleeding talent as bad as you are. Our retention rates are just as bad as your retention rates. We have to look in mirrors and less in windows to figure out how we do this work together. Our job as schools used to be to teach reading, writing, math. Now we're taking on things like handshakes, looking people in the eye, filling out envelopes. All these skills, gaming, computers, technology, and we've accepted this. It's not taught anywhere else in society, so as a school system, we'll be the catch-all and we'll take that. But we don't have that talent, we don't have that skill set. We know how to help people learn. We know how to teach them to read, write, be kind. We're the last place in society where you have to be kind. You get in trouble if you're mean at school. You're celebrated for how outrageous you are in our society currently. So the call to action is, we do this together. The school system is our community. As a principal, I take on this duty, and I love it. And I love every time our kid gets a high-skill job. I love every time our kid gets a scholarship that we know is going to change their family dynamic forever. What we do in schools is magic, and to bring you in is how we get to do that. So my ask and my call to action for all industry is, we need PR semester 1. Come out, meet the kids, say hello, get in the paper, release your media, whatever you got to do to make sure you get your industry fed. But come back for HR in April and May. We have students that are ready for hire in April and May. And if we do not capture them before they graduate, they evaporate into our economy. And then we sit around these meetings and talk about a workforce that doesn't exist. But I know it does, because there's 500 seniors that graduate from our school every year that I'm very proud of. And I would put my name on their resume. But if we don't hire them, we lose them. The competition around the states surrounding us is just as strong. We're fighting to trade employees within Las Vegas, and California and Arizona and Utah are coming to get them too. So wherever I can open my doors to work with you, it's not a big time commitment. It's if you meet the kids 2 or 3 times, they trust you and they will work with you. If you have an HR rep or CEO come out April, May to do first round interviews on site, you can get the top kids. If we ask them to go to you, they won't. They're not mature enough, they're not strong enough, whatever it is. To have an in-person meeting with someone they don't know doesn't work. So to have them come to our site, and if they make it 2 times before that, they will work with you, and they'll be your best employees. Retention, that's kind of on you. If you're not keeping your employees, I don't know, we got to change our models. But all of us are in that, looking in the mirror there too. I think that's about it. Plenty more I want to unpack, but I'll keep this as positive as possible. The schools are magical places. I know where our ranking is. I know where our funding is. I know where our teachers' pay is. And all those things combine to make it a very challenging situation in Southern Nevada. But your kids, our kids, that go through the school system, have talent, have passion, have skill sets that are different than ours, And before the pandemic, we had a lot of research on generational leadership, and that all kind of evaporated during the pandemic. But we have to train, and we have to train treat our leaders different now than we had to before. Our young folks need big brothers and sisters, and mentors, and career ladders, and tuition reimbursement, and hugs. And our veteran employees need to be told what to do and get out of their way. And if we lead either group in the other direction, we lose it. So as we all evolve as industry leaders and, really just motivators of talent, period, be my partner, come with me. It's not CCSD working with your CEO, it's your hiring manager working with me as a principal. Let me introduce you to the actual kids so those jobs happen. It's not organization to organization, it's human to human. This business is really built on handshakes, hugs, giving them donuts and high fives, and that's where you need to capture them. So I'm sitting over here all day, been taking some darts from all the CCSD, but I'm happy to do that and represent what I think is the most noble profession, what I think is the greatest service to our community, and I want to evolve with you to make sure your industry is successful and making our industry more successful. Thank you.
Yep, please give them a hand. Ryan, stay right there, because before we go to Sanel, I want to give them a chance to interact with you. So again, so there's Danette. Would you please take the mic over there to Danette, because we want her on, not on tape, but on digital memory. I don't know what it's called. Danette.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I'm a product of the Clark County School District. My daughter's the product of the Clark County School District. Jerry heard me say this a few months ago. We need to change the narrative locally about talking about our islands of success, as you will, where we are doing things very well, and highlight those successes. My question for you, so thank you very much, sincerely, thank you for what you're doing with your students every day. If you had, we've heard an awful lot from your boss in the media lately about what the district needs and doesn't need. My question for you, Ryan, is if you had a magic wand, you've got a room full of people who care, what would be the ask that you think we could do as a community to really make a difference for the district?
Set me up. All right, turn the mic up. But here's what I think. I think that every student needs equal access to education. So I think pre-K for the entire community is a must. Affluent kids shouldn't get a head start. Everyone should get the same start. Amen. My second ask is, we start teacher pay at $50,000, and that doesn't work. So if we can double salaries or reduce their biggest bill, I think we can attract high quality educators. So if we can get teacher housing vouchers, teacher housing at a reduced rate, or double salaries, I think that's where we can start filling the pipeline again. A high quality teacher in every classroom and an equal start for every kid solves every single issue in education. I don't need to be the principal of a school when there's 100 elite teachers in that room. I just need to get out of their way. So high quality teachers, equal starts. We've got plenty of crayons, color books, supplies. Most schools have enough computers, but I agree there are some that is not equitably distributed. But what I need is high quality talent, just like all of you.
Thank you.
Danette, does that help? Okay, another question. Can we go to Jessica? Oh, you got a mic. Okay.
Yeah, I just had something to add. I also am a product of the Clark County School District here. And I think that there's probably a few more of us around here in this room. And I think that there's a lot of us, not just in this room, but I know there are others like myself in my age group that are local business owners that are in some way, shape, or form connected to one of these sectors that you guys focus on. And everybody is looking for ways to give back, connect with younger folks, do what we can to make a difference, because we came from these programs and we know what these programs can do, because these programs produced us. And we are not seeing that same quality, but we want to be a part of it. So we want to help you. And now, I have the way of doing that, but I have had conversations with at least 3 different people this week about this same type of thing. So we are eager to become part of your team on this.
Thank you for saying that. And then there was a comment made earlier today about the creative industry being respected, that we should be looking for college interns to get cheap work. I feel the same way about high school students. At 18, they're not leadership mature, they're not independent mature, but their skill set is stronger than any of us at 18. What they're learning in the classrooms now is more advanced, and the technical skills, their soft skills, I believe, need a lot of work. And that comes from mom, dad, me, the teachers, the whole community getting involved with that. But where we can get our kids jobs before they graduate, that's, I think, the quickest way to solve soft skill deficits. And I hear this all the time from parents my age that, oh, school's my kid's job. No, it's not. School's school. You learn very different things at school than you do working for someone at a low-wage, low-skill job where you have a boss who's terrible and employees that call out, and the whole thing we all went through when we were young. If we get our kids to work early and then get them high-skilled jobs before they graduate, I think our soft skill gap closes very quickly.
Jessica, I'm glad to hear you say that, this is again part of why we're convening the industry, that people want to give back. Just a few months ago, we were in this room with our local elected officials and our board members like Jerry, and we had, over the years, almost a decade, accumulated almost $200,000 or more of STEM equipment, 3D printers and drones and Legos and robots, and so the new school that opened before Ryan's, the one that opened on the side of the Bishop Gorman Old School, Maryland Parkway, now has a new training academy, and we donated all that equipment. And it was really cool because just yesterday I got a photo of the kids opening the boxes and building robots. And so it's just really cool. And again, in any way, whether it's computers or STEM equipment, I think we can enrich what they can offer in the schools, as the principal Claudia said. So any more questions for him before? Yes, Lori.
Hold on one second. Let me answer this real quick, and then we'll go Lori and then back here. Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We have high skill training, except no one in their right mind hires the first day employee to use that equipment. So then we have to scaffold our kids too. Like, okay, you've been trained how to run the factory, you've been trained how to 3D print and mill, but no one's going to trust you on that $100,000 piece of equipment until you've shown up to work on time for 3 months. So we got to do a little better training on that on my side too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, you have a mic. Okay, sorry. I was looking for a mic.
So, just to kind of, I didn't mean to go off on you over there. It's frustrating. I met my husband because I volunteered with the school district. Like, we joke around, we're a payback couple because we used to do the payback program, or I did. And the challenge that I have now is trying to get engaged with the various schools, because you call them, they're super busy in the fall, they're super busy, and I know it's much worse now than what it used to be. So even like with the stock market game, which is a national game, that's why I was at Mojave. I've talked to multiple schools that have programs, and they're like, that sounds great, can you get back with us? So what's the best way for us to actually reach out and connect with the schools?
That's something our district does not do a good job with, and it's every school is its own franchise. So I'm happy to reach out and do those things, but I can't speak for my 58 other peers. They're not always real good at that. So people like myself, Sunil, and some other CTE folks, we can be to the right partners. I don't want to waste anyone's time or talent. You're in this room because you want to be a part of the solution, so we don't want to send you somewhere and then it never gets back to you. Work directly with me. I'll find a colleague that I know will work with you. Until we get better as a system, just work through the three of us or whoever you know is going to work with you. And I can't promise you a district-wide solution, but I can promise you someone I do trust that will work directly with you.
Thank you, Ryan, for saying that, because yes, we are in an evolution right now. Things aren't perfect, but hopefully you can tell, we're trying to move the needle, and so that's perfect. I think the reason Ryan is here, because that's who you can work with today. We hope to take the other 58 principals and get them to this place as well, so that's coming. Q, I know you.
I just wanted to say thank you, and then that's like perfect because I actually, I'm going to every single school. So we already have a program started. I have 45 high schools, private, public, and charter, with all their information for finding advisors and updating it. So I'm doing that work already. I'm happy they give it to everyone, because this is what I wanted to ask, was like, could you please bring more transparency? Because me going to every single school with gas prices nowadays, it's a big drain. On top of that, it's a big time commitment. And, I'm only doing it because I'm passionate, and especially since, it's easier to go word of mouth to all these offices and to the school itself. And I'm really genuinely thankful for principals for just letting me walk in and be like, do you know anyone of this email and all that information?
I don't want to waste your time or talent. You're doing a tremendous service for our students who will then become our community leaders, so thank you for that. Work directly with Sunil and I, and we will find you the right spots. And if there's a couple of schools that aren't easy to work with, just cut them loose. Competition works. The competition with the school system now is different than it's ever been. Charters, private, homeschool, virtual, in-person, magnet, CTE, it's all competitive now, which is good. So if your principals aren't getting it done, their kids are gonna bang in their door and make sure it gets done. So it's not your job at that point. You need to get to your 68% tipping point. Once that happens, the whole rest of the community is gonna be right there with you.
Okay, I'm gonna bring in our next guest from CCSD. Ryan, you're off the hook, good job.
Please.
So now tell them.
Give Ryan a round of applause.
Round of applause for Ryan. #1 magnet school in the nation, great principal. So now tell us why you're here and maybe your thoughts on everything you've heard today. I know it's hard, but in less than 5 minutes.
All right, I'll try. So my name is Sanal Bapta. I am actually not from education. I come from the private sector. I've been working in Clark County School District about the last 11 years. Prior to that, I was a business and IT consultant. So I worked for companies like Accenture, KPMG, Price Waterhouse, as well as had my own consulting firms. And now I work for Clark County School District. So I work in the Career and Technical Education Department. And if we are not your friend or your best friend or your BFF, then we should be. I oversee, for this side of the room, I don't like that word oversee. I support, collaborate, and work with all of our schools that have business, marketing, and finance programs for this side of the room. I also work with, support, collaborate with all the schools that have information and media technologies, all the creative programs, everything like that. So that's what I support in our middle schools and our high schools. I also lead our department's inclusion, access, equity, and diversity efforts for Clark County School District. And you may ask, how many people work in my department? Right now it's just one, me, as you can see. But we are here to help collaborate, foster those partnerships. So I know there's been a lot of conversations about how we get connected with the schools. I will tell you, use me as the resource. Send me an email. I don't know how many times I've helped businesses, organizations get connected to school, very familiar with the stock market game. And I'm happy to share that information out. And I know Ryan will get you connected with the principals, but when I send information out, I'll send it directly to the teachers, right? Directly to our teachers, so that they have access to it, they can share that information. And I love the question that was asked, like, and was it Danette, as far as what, if we could do one thing like a magic wand. So what my magic wand would be is that every student here in Southern Nevada needs to be a CTE student, a career tech ed student, and it needs to start in 5th grade. We've talked about career exploration. That needs to start in 5th grade. We need to start sharing information to students about careers. We also need to stop asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Okay? What we need to ask them is that, what problem do you want to solve? What do you want to invent? What do you want to create? And then map that to different careers. Map that to, hey, how do I get there? Do I need to go to college? Do I not need to go to college? Can I get a certification, get a job, different things like that? So that's kind of my little spiel in a nutshell. I do work in the district office. I do work with all 50 high schools. Here over the next 2 years, we'll have 52 high schools, and with all, I believe we're at 60 middle schools. So that's what I oversee. Any questions for me?
Sanel's going to be key and work with you. Each one of you is going to get an invitation to join again this online platform called Pathful Connect, which is how you can connect in your industry, in your own company, to these classrooms. Again, middle school, high school, but maybe even 5th grade, as he said one day, right? But you'll hear from Adrina, who's a member of the Workforce Connections team, and from Sanal, and get your personal invitation to do that. Questions for him? Yes, Danette.
I know you're surprised.
Right there is the mic.
Hi, Snell. Thank you for what you're doing also in the district for the students. Are you familiar with Junior Achievement and their Inspire program? With
Michelle Jackson?
Yes.
Just met with them yesterday. We are working with them on their Inspire event in February, and I convinced them, once again, if you work with me, I might convince you to do something. So I convinced them to host another event in May. February, we're going to focus on juniors and seniors. May, we're going to focus on middle school, because once again, I believe we need to start earlier with our students. We can't only start engaging them in high school about careers, as well as, I don't like the term soft skills, I'll use success skills, collaboration, communication, answering the phone, sending a stamped envelope. I had to send a stamped envelope, and I asked my daughter to go get the stamps, and she's like, what? Anyway.
So thank you. I'm thrilled that you are, and for our creative team over here on this side of the room, if you're not familiar with it, it's a virtual career fair where you would have exposure through the Junior Achievement programming to all of those students whose teachers are helping them access it. So it's great. It's a phenomenal program.
And I'll go, yes, it is a virtual career fair, but on February, there's an in-person component as well as May. So if you want to do in-person, reach out to me, I'll get you connected if you want to get connected to students. We're shooting for about 1 to 2,000 in February, 1 to 2,000 in May. So if you do reach out to me, I may reach back out to you and say, hey, we need to do this for students, right? So.
One of the things we hope that these sector partnerships do is, again, let me rephrase that. What we've been asked by your previous peers that have been here is for industry-specific hiring fairs or industry-specific career exploration fairs in the district. We're hosting one, I can't remember, Malik, what is the one for manufacturing?
It's October 12th.
So next week or something at the Green Valley Library, in partnership with the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, we're doing one for your peers from the general and advanced manufacturing sector who first met in April or May. So again, the deliverables, whether it be the books, the fairs, take time to organize them, but we're looking forward to today. Next, identify your deliverables, what you want to see happen for your industry. Any more questions for Sanal?
Otherwise, I have 2 things I want to mention.
Yes.
Any questions? No? No? Okay, 2 things, and they cover both sides of the room. This side of the room, we also started collaborating with, if you're familiar with the Nevada Society of CPAs, on working with them to do more outreach into our schools. Once again, a lot of times students think accountants are the people that only work in April for tax season, right? That is not the case. There are a lot of opportunities, small business, large businesses. So we're working with them, and we're working with Junior Achievement to really bring back what's called a finance park, where it helps students with financial literacy, all this other stuff related to money, retirement. I was fortunate when first job I took in the private sector, a gentleman that was about to retire next week, he took me out to lunch and he told me, if you ever get a public sector job, as soon as you're invested, buy as many years as you can. So that's what I did in CCSD. It's been the best thing that I've done, though I'm not ready for retirement, but it is what it is. So that's one thing. The second thing is, how many of you are probably familiar with Hunger Games? Probably everybody. Have you heard of Hunger Games, read the books and all that stuff? So once again, I love collaborating. City Neon Group here locally here in town, they run the Hunger Games exhibit at MGM. They wanted to do a promotion with the 10-year anniversary. In talking with them, hey, why don't we do a design promotion to engage the creative innovation media? So we're currently running a design promotion for high school CCSD students where they're designing a piece of work, whether it's outfit, stage prop, anything that they can that would be Hunger Games appropriate, called Stand with Mockingjay. November 4th, those submissions are done, and the winning student's design piece will actually be featured in the exhibit over the next year, and the student and teacher both get a $1,000 gift card and a field trip and all that stuff. So it's just, I want to mention those collaborations and partnerships because they didn't happen overnight, right? Both those things I mentioned, it takes time, but we use us as the resource, our career tech ed department. So if you have trouble reaching out to a school district, reaching out to schools, reach out to us. Use me as your inside source, but just don't post my email anywhere. I don't want to get spammed or anything like that. So, but yeah, any other questions? Very good.
Give Sanal a round of applause, please.
Yes.
Thank you. You can tell how he had pent up energy there, right? They've been really good back there waiting to have this chance to address you. And again, it doesn't end here. Today is just the beginning of the journey for this sector partnership. Now you know how to get a hold of them, and we are going to be your point of connectivity with any of these partners. I'm going to introduce you in a second to our other core skill acquisition partners, College of Nevada, Nevada State College, and UNLV. But before that, because they're going to watch this recording, which you can watch too if you want, but for employers who couldn't be here or join this partnership later and want to know how the launch went, we're recording this. We're also, again, the model calls for us to do this. But I wanted to publicly acknowledge Cliff and Lorraine, who are, can you bring up that again? Yes, Cliff and Lorraine from Irenic Consulting Group. They are our launch sponsor today, so how about a round of applause for them? Thank you, Lorraine and Cliff, who couldn't be here today. Before I go to our partners over there, I wanted to show you, we've been talking about assessments a lot, and there's a lot, but if you go to our website, Chris, and type in nvmyfuture.org. It's an assessment called Tradeify. And why is it, again, different? I say the main reason is because it's really built for young people. It takes 90 seconds. That's what really makes it different. Go to envymyfuture.org, Chris. Oh, go to Inside WC. Go down to Envy My Future, the bottom there. And go down to, let's see, let's find it, try career exploration. And down there, let's scroll down and see if we can find Tradeify. There it is, Tradeify assessment. So click on there. So if you click on there, you know, to do it, all you need is a first, last name, email address, and create a simple password. But it allows anybody to take this free 90-second assessment. What is cool about it is that it takes years, decades of that whole vocational Holland's theorem of, you know, the teacher, Ryan's going to kill me because I'm butchering it, but it really matches, if you will, their natural traits, hence the word tradeify, to career pathways and occupations. It also takes into account what level of your skill acquisition are you. Do you have a high school diploma yet? No. Well, it's going to give you entry-level job opportunities. If you have a high school diploma, probably a little more. If you have a 2-year diploma, a 4-year, and so forth, it starts to give you other things. But here's the cool news. Kids, as you know, short attention span. They love graphics, visual things, very visual. It's binary in nature. The questions come up, me, not me. After 90 seconds, immediately you have a profile, and it's matching you to local jobs right now. If you want to do job search, but also you can do career exploration. So if you're interested, all you have to do is, again, go to our website and you can find it there. It's really a really simple way to get a kid started to think about, as Danelle was saying, you know, what do my natural traits lead me to? I like to problem solve this and that. Well, this helps you get there. So with that, I'm going to walk over here and introduce you to Frank Woodbeck, who's been at every one of these representing CSN. He's got a couple minutes to tell them why it's important that CSN is here, Frank.
Okay. Two overriding factors, two overriding goals, let's say, for the College of Southern Nevada at this point. And one is to create guided pathways that will meet the industry sector needs for the emerging sectors in Southern Nevada. For example, advanced manufacturing. We're becoming a huge manufacturing, we will have a huge manufacturing sector in Southern Nevada within the next 3 years. We've created and will continue to create advanced manufacturing pathways that guide a student that is in dual enrollment or otherwise into a career in advanced manufacturing with stackable credentials in the sector. So consequently, we have a number of folks who do not have a high school diploma who are underemployed, even though the employment rate is low. We have a large number of underemployed individuals going all the way back to the Great Recession. I know that because I was Director of Employment during the Great Recession. So one of the goals is to reach out, find those individuals, give them opportunities to actually launch a second career and actually get a high school diploma at the same time, or GED at the same time, and gain skill training. And you'll say, okay, it's going to take 2 years to do that. Not really. We're looking at a number of short-term training certifications that I say, again, are stackable credentials on which you can begin a career and while you're working, continue to grow that career. And so those are our two primary overriding goals right now. You only gave me 2 minutes. Within the College of Southern Nevada. We also have the greatest level of collaboration I've seen amongst higher education institutions in Southern Nevada since I've been here, and that's 21 years now, between CSN, Nevada State College, and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Is absolutely great. We have 3 great presidents there, a 4th great president with the Desert Research Institute, although they're not a degree granting institution, but the collaboration amongst these presidents is absolutely terrific. So.
Thank you, Frank. And I'll say, I'll add to that every month, because of these industry sector partnerships in part, those 3 presidents meet with the superintendent of the school district to, again, start to put into place what is coming out of these partnerships, that like the ones you're here today. And also I'll say for Frank and for President Zaragoza, who sits on the Workforce Connections Board, the example he gave you about manufacturing, it can exist for you too. Instead of the creative industry folks, I don't want you to jump, well, what about us? Can you create, customize, pathways for that industry? That's the goal of this partnership, so that CSN, like CCSD, can react to your needs and create the types of training certification that your industries need. Frank, am I correct? All right. So I'm going to introduce Cher and see if you can stick to the 2 minutes. Frank did a really bad job.
It's hard.
I know, it's hard.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Xue Xing. I'm a faculty and CT program director at ULV. It's really my pleasure to be here and hear about your comments and share your visions for workforce education. I have to admit that within UNLV, we're really trying to share the information because some of us working with workforce are like not really communicating all the time, and so it's like here and there. But we're really working together now, and I want to share a few visions and efforts we have right now at UNLV. One thing I'm leading is a collaborative effort with college education, science, and engineering on really introducing the trendy and emerging technologies into our classroom and using really highlight what CTE is about, a process-oriented approach teaching our kids instead of our conventional approach of focusing on the content. So we're gonna really introduce about the process and learn about really engage learning through working and solving the problems. So I think I hope that will be a way, our way to address some of the concerns about how our curriculum can keep up with the technology advancement. Another thing we're doing is about the university is really trying to engage in our curriculum reform effort with our local needs from our city and the Southern Nevada workforce needs. So one thing I'm helping them is to really using the labor market analysis and using data-informed approach to really align our curriculum at university to different, high demand, high skill, high wage jobs. And for that, we hope we can really better serve our communities and really, make it create this pipeline supporting the workforce. Third initiative we're doing is we're really trying to collaborate with CCSD on providing these internships for our teachers, so that we are really want to you all on the board, so that we can have teachers come to the industry and get refreshed about their skills and knowledge, and then they come back and bring that back to the classroom. Right, and in addition to the pay raise and all the incentives we are fighting for our teachers, I think by providing these kind of opportunities and your commitment and collaborations in this, we're really trying to boost their technologies literacy with these employers need and bring that to the classroom. One last thing is about diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. We're also trying to work with the faculty from those areas and trying to look into what does this topic mean to career technical work, to workforce. Because a lot of times we're thinking about bringing cultural relevance and pedagogy into a classroom. But what does this mean to a career technical classroom, right? What are challenges we have there, or unique occupational biases, or associated with certain occupations, right? Historically, what does this mean really to this world? I think we're still trying to understand that and explore that. We're opening a course actually that can be on next summer about this diversity, equity in workforce education, and really in the process where that will be a process of learning to find the solutions for that. So really excited about all those efforts we're doing, and really appreciate your collaboration in this process. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Sharon, and representing President Whitfield from UNLV. Before I introduce you to our last higher ed partner for Nevada State College, representing Dr. Pollard, Tom, you see our teammates starting to come in again. For the last 30 minutes, they haven't been at lunch. They've actually been in another room digesting, or again, following this nationally recognized model. I've been telling you about the next gen, taking the information you gave us and putting it through a scrub process to, again, identify the opportunities for collective action, and you'll see that next. So before we go into our next, or our final 90-minute process, I'm going to introduce you. Tom, tell us why Nevada State College has been a part not just of today, but all of the launches. Thanks, Tom.
I think for today it's really important because in the areas of like business and finance, as well as the digital arts and our visual arts programs, we've made significant investments in those two programs in the past years, and I've only been there a year, so I've been able to see that. Along with offering four-year degrees, we've also just started into our non-credit programming, what we might say is incumbent worker training, where we're looking at helping people advance their skills or sharpen their skills or gain those new skills as the industries and as as technology increases. And all those will be skill-based and really working with employers. And that's what's important about being a part of this, and I think all of us have shared. Your input on what we need to be including in our programming is vital, so that we can offer whoever's being trained.
ATPL, I know I promised I wasn't going to share all these horrible acronyms we have in our...
Are very gung-ho on being paid, but not willing to put in the work. Very easy to lose good talent to other places, like you guys have said, for $1 or $2 more. I'm just not quite sure where the shift has come in this upcoming generation of not willing to put in the work and see the long-term goal of that. But however we can work together to build that up in our younger generation, I think is going to solve a lot of our problems.
Thank you, Chelsea. We're glad that you're here. Thank you for your input. Thanks to all of you for being here today. Who's ready to get to problem solving? Who wants to start solving some of these issues? You guys ready? So the staff again has been in another. How do we get you into their schools and them to your sites? That stuff is happening already. Third one, did you say there's 3 or 4? 3. Okay, thank goodness. That's a lot of 90. We better get to this process. The third one, also something that I'm not laughing, I'm just saying, wow, it really was common. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've heard it today, we've heard it across all sectors. Building a culture of caring, getting employee buy-in, developing, again, access to these diverse communities, because we've heard that it starts in school. Title I schools don't have exposure to creative arts and banking, and then it goes, I think, after that, it continues to be some inequity there. We got to make sure that those diverse communities have access to these opportunities all across that timeline. Again, talent attraction, how do you build DEI into talent attraction? And then, of course, the spicy part, equitable education funding, right? I could talk for hours about that. Jerry, keep me from that. I don't want to talk about that stuff. It gets me in trouble. So, we got a lot on the table, don't we? Yeah. You want to take it? Yes, there. I just have a question. Yes, please. Give him a mic, please. Can we have a mic? We need it on the record.
I guess it's just a point of interest. I'd like to know how many people here were raised and educated here. So
40, 50%, yeah. 40% maybe?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. 40%. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Danette. Thank you. So we have a new somebody who's joined us, CJ Neff from Hawaii. You can introduce yourself.
Hi. Oh my goodness, it's incredibly embarrassing to arrive 90 minutes late to something. There was a major accident on the 515. I was just sitting in traffic for an hour. So whoever was saying earlier the soft skills, our success skills, I love that, first of all, and showing up on time is very important to me. So I was like, I'm just not going to go, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go, and I'll deal with it. So yes, CJ Neff from Hightower Las Vegas. We are a financial planning and investment management firm located down by Green Valley Ranch. My story is a little bit interesting. I come from, I had a whole career really in technology. And moved into financial services about 2 years ago, and just love what Junior Achievement is doing. Volunteer of the Year right there. Volunteer of the Year for Junior Achievement, yes, thank you. And so, I think it's a great way that we can potentially scale and deliver more financial literacy into our community, and also give people exposure, the youth exposure to careers in financial services. So I think it's really a win-win all around. So looking forward to meeting all of you, and again, so embarrassed that I was 90 minutes late, but I was just sitting behind that turned over 18-wheeler, and I was like, it is what it is. So,
thank you for being here, CJ, thank you. He's displaying great soft skills. He stood up, right, engaged with us, great eye contact. Great to have you here. I know Hugh is a great friend. You know, many of the folks here know him because of the chamber. He's also currently the chair of the Governor's Workforce Development Board and a member of our Workforce Connection Force. So thanks for representing Hightower here in this conversation. Hopefully, again, really none of what's happened until now is new. You just saw here the synopsis of the first 90-minute extraction process. Here's some issues that we've identified that, by the way, are common across the other 5 industries. There's 2 here that are the target industries for our region. And so now our task is to, can you take me back to 1, please? That first group, whoever's driving this, can you, yep. So my next ask of you, each one of you, is I'm going to ask you to take a red paper, and I want a solution to any of these things that you want. How do we improve recruitment and retention of quality talent? Meaning, you know, is it that you would like us to share some of these national best practices that we use with the Employee and Be Business Hub when small businesses come and say, yeah, tell me about that. What are companies doing across the nation to improve their recruitment and retention? It can't just be higher wages, right? So we have some of that. This whole, you know, it includes things about addressing the WFH trends and behaviors. When it comes to cost of recruitment, you say, well, Jaime, how can you help us? Again, the Employee and Be Business Hub is something that you or other organizations in your industry could use at no cost. So if you are seeing high cost of recruitment in your organization, let us help. Let us carry some of that financial weight, because we have staff dedicated to do recruitment. And then we also have resources to do training and upskilling of people. So enough clues. We're going to focus on this. I want each one of you to write a potential action item that helps everybody for collective action, that will a tie that will lift all boats, as they say, right, to address this issue of recruitment and retention. So use a red piece of paper and pick an idea. I'm sorry, pink. Am I colorblind? I am. It is pink. My chair is going to kill me because she's very good at color. Yeah. We had a conversation about tones of red, cars, and yeah, different things. I don't see a lot of writing. Who needs clarity? Can I answer any questions about, you know, what do you want me to write? Again, to me, we've identified issues, and maybe, again, you're not an expert in our system, but maybe just throw something. I could use this. Let us go figure out if it's something that there's resources available for it, or if there isn't, how can we go find them? We have one?
Yes.
All right, let's start talking. So how do we, so part of the solution is to provide a comfortable work environment. So I'm going to ask you to expand a little, because do you think providing a comfortable work environment, does everybody know how to do it, or do you think the employers need help finding out how to do it? Is this you, Larry?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a combination. I think big corporations, regional, national law firms, accounting firms, etc., know how to do it. I think small companies do not, and need to be educated in that. And really, what it means is a place where people, particularly younger people of talent, want to come to work and want to stay at work. So we're finding that most companies today are designing their spaces that have, lounge space, sitting space, huddle rooms, the open environment as opposed to the offices. Yeah, is trending very high these days, and I think that's needed to attract and retain skilled people, good people.
Okay, I agree with that. My son works for a high-tech company where nobody has a dedicated desk. Is that open environment with sofas and TVs and small spaces where they can go work how they feel that day. And if you go, of course, to other places like, I remember the first time I went to Zappos, yeah, you guys know, there's a bar. And at Lyft also, there's a bar, and so, yes, not that advocating.
I don't encourage bars.
I don't know either. I don't know how they.
Unless you're in the manufacturing.
Yeah, Michigan. Oh, hi. Yeah, I don't know how they do it either. So the next one I want to hear about is, oh, George really likes this one. So I don't want to, again, assume, but internship programs, engagement with business. I think this is about, again, if we're going to build somebody who's going to stay with us, we need to invest early, right? And so I think internship programs earlier, instead of just meeting them when you want to hire them, internship I think is a part of that. But I'm going to let whoever wrote this tell me. Who wrote internship? Annette, can I have a mic for her, please?
Thank you. I think that several companies have different types of internship programs, but making that, I love the example from UNLV, that externship, right, where we bring the teaching professionals into the industry environments and have them learn what those current technologies are and think more in terms of internship programs in ways that will help attract those people that we want, right? Not just what meets our needs, but have it be a collaboration with higher ed or certainly CCSD, more opportunities to engage them as early on as possible.
I like that. Thank you, Danette. Okay, so the next one I want to ask, this one George brought me, have employers, active workers come into classrooms to talk about pathways beyond traditional education, again, showcasing unique pathways within industries. As you heard us say, we are working already with CCSD on this. It's not as easy as you might think, to have adults on a school or to have kids leave a school to go to a manufacturing plant, but it is, I think, part of this. So who wrote this one? Carl. So am I in the right track there, Carl? Go ahead and tell us what was your thoughts.
Yeah, this is just to...
It's off, Carl. Can you press that button? Hold it for 1 second and I'll turn off.
Check. Okay. It's just a follow-up on what she said, really. It's, I think, identifying undefined career paths, especially within our industry. Gaming, esports, production on my side is very mysterious to a lot of students, and it's scary. Like, hey, I want to be a director or a producer, or they don't really understand that there's so many other well-paying careers and career paths within this industry. And I came up in a really interesting way through the art department, and then I went through the producing side, and then creative side, and there's ways for, I think, active employees or employer, like department heads, to come in and go into the classroom and just either showcase their real world examples or break down exactly how this industry works on a day-to-day basis, not just from the traditional read it from a book type perspective.
Yep, I hear you clearly, and again, I think that the CTE folks is where we're going to start, as Ryan and Sanal both said. We all wish that we could say any of the 52 high schools are ready for that, but we know that's not the case. But we're going to start with the high schools that are ready, right? And the CTE programs that Sanal was talking about is how do we make sure that that's happening. So did we capture that one on the board? Make sure that that's clearly on there. I have the next one says citywide recruitment videos that highlight the quality of life here in Vegas. Interesting. Is this, okay, I need to go to you. Who wrote this one? Oh, okay. I want to hear about that. I thought I'd been on the creative side over here.
Yeah, come on, creative side. Yeah, and I don't know to what extent this is already happening, but I was in a healthcare professional space recently, and they were making one of these sorts of videos. Hey, doctors, come here to work in Vegas. because there's great quality of life, we have wonderful amenities, all those sorts of things. And so I think on a kind of macro level, I don't think that every organization needs to be making those videos individually. There's a level at which we can come together, work with creatives and say, it is a great place to live. I've been here 6 years, I love it. There's a million reasons to love Vegas, and just highlighting that so that when any individual employer is going to attract talent from outside of Vegas or outside of the state to come here, that there are resources, canned resources that we can go to and say, hey, here's a 90-second spot on why Vegas is a great place to live.
Thank you for that clarity. I'll tell you that again, some of the stuff is the general and advanced manufacturing sector. Where's the little booklet for that? The little kids booklet for general and advanced manufacturing. Does anybody have it? There are 6 occupations highlighted on it, and they asked us, your peers said exactly that. We want videos that do 2 things. Number 1, they asked about the quality of life, so we can show you what's the draft of that, where we're at. But also, actually, a second video that talked about why their industry, general advanced manufacturing, is not your grandfather's general advanced manufacturing. So it's not steam-filled, leaky factory floors anymore, like the Henry Ford assembly line. It's a state-of-the-art, clean, technology-ridden, automation-driven factory floor. And so that's part of the messaging that they've said to us, help us tell a new narrative, right? Not just to people who we might talent that we might to import, but also, again, the CCSD audience. How do we educate them, not just through visits, not through just a coloring book, not through just the online platform, but also another style of video engagement so that they know that our industry is not what it used to be 30 years ago. And then also, they have a lot of requests actually, and so then they said, once we do that, the 6 characters that are on that book, we want a video for each one of them as well. We want you to break down what a, what is that called? It's not CDL, CNC, thank you, CNC operator thing, computer numeric control operator, $80,000 job, doesn't need to go to 4-year, can, because if you get that and then you go back to CSN and get something else, you can go from 80 to 100, and then you go to UNLV and get 120 for what you're doing in advanced manufacturing. So again, examples, I'm trying to share with you now that those are some things that have been asked of us and we're delivering already. So thank you for that. I saw the Ned's hand go up.
I just want to leverage a little bit on what CJ said, because I think that that's also important from the higher ed systems to do that into the schools, into CCSD. I just anecdotally, since CCSD's been picked on, I'm going to pick on UNLV for a minute.
There you go. You're equal opportunity.
I'm equal opportunity, yeah. But I don't think, I know, we don't do as good a job recruiting our local students to stay in, especially the high achievers. My daughter started receiving solicitation from numerous schools in numerous states as soon as she took that ACT test. And April of her senior year, she got something from UNLV. So I think that promoting to our local, and it also helps with the principals, right? To have them promote why they should stay at UNLV or Nevada State College, or CSN, and have as much that same, it's good to stay here messaging, because we're all trying to overcome the what happens here that's nationally, internationally. Now, I grew up here, right? So I've got to tell people what I do for a living, however I choose that day. But anyway, so that's just to build on what CJ said.
Thank you, Danette. Lori, Michelle, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, you said anyone. Go ahead.
Yep, I'll go Michelle first and then I'll come to Christine. I feel like a TV host now.
Okay. Just to piggyback on what Danette was saying, I know that there was at one point, and I apologize for my lack of knowledge here. I don't have kids yet ready for college. But I know we did have a millennial scholarship in the state of Nevada that was to incentivize our kids to stay here. Do we still have that?
Yes.
Okay. Very small. Okay.
Oh yeah, it doesn't cover the cost at all, yeah. It does best at CSN, it's probably the best value, right, Frank, that you get. The first 2 years at CSN, Millennium really helps. But after that, it helps, but not a lot. I know because I had 2 kids that went to college.
Okay, so possibly some more incentives to stay in state?
Yeah, that's another thing, again, that ties into how are we funding education in our state, right? Yep, thank you.
I just wanted to add, I too agree with CJ about the power of video, and obviously that is our business, so it's less personally self-serving and more industry serving to say that video is powerful. It can live on websites, it can live on interactive places, and you have some really great people here in our local community who can produce that content, and you can play it over and over again. And I will say too, a key part of all of this is not only recruitment and retention of new folks, but recruitment and retention of your businesses who are here, because we still see so many businesses and industries in our profession hiring from LA and going outside of the state to produce their graphics, to produce their videos. And that has to come from the hiring portion as well. If you want us to be able to fund our businesses and hire our students, you need to hire us locally too. I travel a lot out of state because I don't have enough business locally to sustain myself.
We lose people all the time to other markets in the creative field that are more continuously booming because of exactly that. They leave for one job, they get recruited to a bigger booming market, and then they never come back because they have 3 jobs lined up by the time they're off of that one, and they just don't have that here.
And just to follow up too, I don't know if any LBCVA folks are here, but you know, that is the marketing arm of our city, and they're one of our clients, and I can't tell you how many times I have to deal with, why is an LA production company in here shooting your $750,000 commercial, and you give us the scraps, or you give us, you know, the $200,000 jobs, or whatever. And the talent pools here, what Jessica's saying is very real. If a bigger production or a bigger show does come in, it does scoop up all the roster. So it,
immediately.
Yeah.
A movie, a TV show, everybody's gone then.
Irene, can we write that down too when we meet with LVGA leadership? And or if we meet with, why am I forgetting his name at LVCVA right now? Go with, huh? Yeah, Steve Hill. When we meet with him, let's ask that question, right? Or how can we be more purposeful? One of the things we're hearing in our industry sector partnerships is, if you want us to foster these emerging industries, let's do it at every level, right?
Yeah, and they're going to say it's lack of talent. You know, hey, we need better. The pigeonhole of our industry that we hear from clients all the time, or ad agencies all the time, is, you know, you guys don't have the director that wants to do this style of a job. You know, car commercials versus Pizza Hut or something like that. Bank commercials versus, you know, the local landscaper or something. So LVCVA is trying to push the limit with, you know, getting a lot of different types of creative directors, but the talent does exist here in town.
And also, I think part of this thing is what's new is, okay, well, we're working on that. That's why, again, the CCSD pipeline, that's why the CSN, it's the chicken and the egg, right? So we can't be handicapped or paralyzed by the fact that, you know, by one thing. If they keep throwing to us, we need better talent, okay, we're working on that too, but they need to do their part and inch towards that solution, right? Jessica, can we have a mic here, please?
I feel
We need it on the.
opened a can of worms.
No, yeah. Who opened this one?
I have to just say a little more about this specific situation, because I know for a fact that it hasn't always been this way when it comes to LVCVA. Because a decade ago, JR Lighting had all the lighting and grip on the commercials, and I know because I was a production assistant on those commercials, working my way up. So there was a time in which LVCVA was pulling a lot from the local pool, and there was some kind of shift and change that happened over there, and now the locals have to fight for their seat at the table.
You got that already, Irene? You have that down? Okay, thank you. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry,
I have
thank you.
comments.
That's why I have 5 people here, Larry. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't look everywhere.
First, I want to say from the services side of the room that just people in the services industries need to be creative also. So just
yes.
But if you graduate, now I was not raised here, I was not educated here, but that being said, if you graduate with an MBA from UNLV, you have more or less the same education as you get if you graduate with an MBA from Harvard. The difference is you're not branded with that H on your forehead. So that's all. That's my comment to that.
Thank you, Larry. I'm going to move on from that can of worms. Did somebody open? But that's valid. It's up there, even though it's not necessarily fully talent development. As Carl said, it has a talent development side to it, especially if those organizations are saying that. So we're going to deal with that, Carl. It's on our list. And then here, I wanted to make sure. Yeah, Chris, can you bring up employeenvbusinesshub.org? Oh, I should have asked Tom. Employeenvbusinesshub.org. And V as in Nevada. Businesshub.org. Again, Jeremy's here. If you haven't got his card, this is how you find him. But on this website, why I'm going there is to show you, click on solutions and click on talent recruitment. And let's play that video. It's 60 seconds. So I just want you guys to see something. Probably need more
When you are ready to grow your business, you need to recruit talent. That expense can divert money away from other areas of your business. We can help you find your new workers at no cost to you. Avoid the expensive job listings. We can post your positions for you. EmployeenV is the largest job listing database in the state. Or skip that step if you'd like. We can provide you access to pre-screened, qualified candidates from our one-stop centers across the system. You can conduct your own screenings if you prefer. We can also provide specialized workplace assessments that will help you hire the right worker the first time. If needed, we can organize and staff a hiring fair that is customized for your specific talent recruitment needs. Give us a call or visit us online. We would love to walk you through the details and share other ways we can help your business.
Why I'm showing you that is twofold. I goes again to say EmployeenV Business Hub is how we help employers, but mostly to say when we were talking about videos, I didn't want you to think we were producing the quality of videos you guys can. This is what I was talking about. Internally, our capacity is only to make some animations that are 60-second long to talk about what we described. That's what we're doing for the general and advanced manufacturing, creating characters that are about occupation. So again, I just wanted to be clear. Not that it's a bad idea to have because here the next one says utilize a local video production company to produce engaging content about various career opportunities in these industries, right? That's an idea on the board. Another one is define clear pathways for development and growth, opportunities for cross-training for other departments or areas. Who wrote that one? Can you give me a little more detail, Michelle, on that, please?
Yes, thank you. My suggestion there was just to be able to identify specific positions and what their pathways look like as far as promotions and transfer opportunities, developing cross-training, job shadowing type of opportunities of visiting with other departments or other areas to learn what they do and what might interest them as far as retention.
Thank you for that clarity. We got that. You guys got that? Okay. This one is very interesting. It says trade program / swap with other companies in the industry for good talent who may not be a fit for one company could be a good fit for another. Never heard that before, but so I want to hear more about that idea, see if it's Chelsea, okay. Is that a best practice for somewhere else? Does it work somewhere else? But it's interesting.
The last 2 places of employment that I've been at, a lot of the focus is on the person first and then the skills second. So we have a saying at our company is a lot of times we will hire someone who is a good human and might need help building up a little bit of their qualifications for production over hiring someone who might not be a culture fit necessarily for our company or our industry, but maybe has outstanding video work. So that's what we're willing to invest in. And I know that a lot of times we have had employees who are phenomenal creatives. Something might happen in their life. There might be a change in their life. Especially, I know we all just went through COVID. That was a huge change, and we helped accommodate that for our employees. The same thing, we typically are working 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That is a different schedule than a lot of people in production. You will find everything from, half days to almost 24-hour days in this industry. Being able to say, hey, we've got a good person with some great talent, and maybe they're just not fitting in with our scheduling or what we focus in on with our production company, but maybe they're a better fit for Storyville, So can we say, and I know that it's difficult too, that some of the people sitting at this table are competitors in this industry, right? But we're also a part of a bigger team that competes with other industries, LA for example. I would much rather have an employee leave our company and go to another Las Vegas local company than lose them to LA. And I know that a lot of times we're losing people to freelance too, because maybe they just didn't fit in with our scheduling or our model of the way that we do things. So if we can become more collaborative with others in our industry to say, hey, I've got this great person, they're an amazing creative, they just don't fit in with our culture or our goals. Do they fit in with your company? Do they fit in with maybe a company that you know of? And trying to keep that more stationed here in Vegas rather than losing people to relocating to other cities or going to that freelance lifestyle.
Thank you for that clarity. It's clear in my head now. And so, again, I think it would be, obviously, ideally, it shouldn't take time away from your business, right? So what if this sector partnership or the Employee MD Business Hub could be that platform that you use, so you're not calling 7 employers, but you say, hey, Hub, I got somebody, reach out to the others and see if it's a fit. That might be an implementation of what you're saying? Okay, I got you. So we got that on the board. They're asking me to move on, and I'm grateful that the team keeps an eye on this stuff. Thank you, Chelsea. Let's go to number 2. I'm going to ask you to grab now, who can remember the order? Is it orange next? It doesn't matter. Let's take an orange paper, and I want you to pick a thing, what you think we need to do to improve how the K-12 system delivers the talent you need. Through curriculum, credentialing. Tell us. I mean, there were several ideas today. If you had to pick one thing, what would you want done? Is it the elementary school focus with books, and is it the middle school? Is it that 5th grade Sanal talked about, visits? Is it the online platform that you heard about that's being implemented? Is it, what is it for you that's going to address and improve the connectivity and the role that K-12 plays in providing a worker that's ready for you? Again, entry level. K-12 can't produce the worker that you need for middle management or upper. That's CSN, that's UNLV, that's Nevada State College, that's yourself with experience or years upskilling that worker. But what can K-12 do best? Let's see, what do you got, Vicente? All right, so, yeah, listen, we heard this. Teach the difference between a job and a career. So who is that? I want to hear more about this. Yes, Jessica, tell me. Yes, tell me about that.
So in our field, it takes a very long time, as in a lot of fields, to master your craft. And a lot of people want to come in and do the job for 1 year. Well, do the job for 1 year, your whole job will be consistent of picking up a heavy thing and moving it from here to there, because we won't have enough time to teach you a lot about what that thing is, how it works, and how you can make it work in many different settings and in many different ways. So having people that are career-oriented, that want to follow a path to becoming a master of their craft, not a jack of all trades, helps them to have those clear goals.
Thank you for that clarity. So that's on the board, I understand it now. Who can tell me more about degree plus curriculum or athletic program? Hugh, can you tell me more about that? Okay, what does that mean?
Oh, we have each other. We're working together. See, it's visible.
Collaboration.
Again, our esports industry doesn't have any degrees. It does fit under broadcasting. It does fit under marketing and etc. But we don't have anything like that. Right now I'm going through schools, I'm teaching them, hey, how to set up a streaming setup, how to build your own computer, how to network, how to become a good leader and setting up your own clubs. We're also working with athletic programs. Just like how the basketball program started, it just started with a passion and then it grew into other things, right? Media got in to what basketball is, sports, also gets a lot of attraction, but also sports also gets a lot of money, which they go through financial literacy programs where they have sponsors from like Junior Achievement and stuff like that. Our entire field doesn't have anything like that. So it's basically just asking K through 12, CSN, UNLV, Nevada State College, and all the higher ups to basically teach kids how to stay in school using the programs and technology we have, and just keeping them engaged still, you know. I like the idea with the video stuff, because I'm guaranteeing you that not a lot of students and kids in elementary school know what Adobe is, but they do know what Biggest Issues is on Instagram, so.
Thank you, Hugh, for that clarity. I have the next one that says, I'm very interested in the middle school platform. Again, I'm talking about Pathful Connect, connecting employers. So you will receive, all of you will receive an invitation to join that platform from Adrina. She'll be working with Sanal over the next few weeks and months. Because again, this is just a daily event, this launch. But really the success of this partnership is going to be over the next weeks, months, years. How do we really achieve what we're talking about, Carl, right? Can we influence people to start using local talent? Can we influence legislators to fund education better? And I say we, not us. We can't do it by ourselves. So you guys are the most important piece, because the voice of business is what moves the needle. I think the voice of business is what's hopefully going to help us, improve our governance structure for the school district and other things. Jerry, stop me. I don't know if talking. So you'll hear about this platform very, very soon as part of our deliverables to you. Create more opportunities for students to have responsibility. We've heard this earlier. They should be able to grow a garden, run a bookstore. Teaching them soft skills in the K through 12 system is, teaching them soft skills after they graduate is nearly impossible. They need to learn it earlier, right? So, who was this? I need to hear more. Yeah, CJ.
Well, let me just say at the beginning, Junior Achievement again, I feel like and I don't want to say it too many times, but another example that comes to mind is Green Our Planet. That's specifically where the garden example comes from for me. But I think, I have worked in two very, very, very technical fields, and I think one of the most important lessons in my own career has been that relationships are everything. And so if there's a way in schools, because I think, I think for us it would be hard to sell us on bringing a 10th grader in, or an 11th, even a senior in high school, to bring them in
the world of high finance.
Yeah, to bring them in for an internship. But I think that you can run kind of simulations within the school. They're starting, what Junior Achievement does is kind of, you run a business for a day, but being able to see that, you need to be able to see that showing up on time. If you're responsible for, running the garden, if you're not there every day, it's going to be very visible, right? If you're running the bookstore and you're supposed to be there from 7 o'clock to 7 to 9 a.m. or whatever it is, and you're not there, that gets corrected pretty quickly, right? So I think it's hard to, you can tell people all day long, show up on time, make eye contact, those sorts of things, but being able to do it, even if it's in a simulated way within the schools, I think would, those success skills, again, are important to do.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. There's something here I think that's related. Yeah, go ahead, Jessica. Yeah, Mike, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, catch my attention like you just did.
So I graduated from ATEC, a local magnet school that has dedicated programs or majors or whatever you want to call it in business, law, and computers, if they still do. And one of the things that, talking about this soft skills thing, I remember that I once had an opportunity, but it wasn't until it was way later, and this should come way earlier for kids, to have an option to take a business communications type of class. It was a real easy trade-out for me as a young person to say, no thanks, I'd rather not have another literature class and have the option of taking a business communications class. It's just by the time you were a junior in high school, that was a little late, but we're talking about the middle school implementation of these types of things. maybe having some business communications as electives or something like that in middle school, because it really made a difference for me. I distinctly remember everything about the class, everything about the teacher, and everything about the experience that it gave me and how much I leveled up that year.
Awesome, thank you. There's something here, I think, parallel to that, which says the soft skills, but also the right word is not hard skills. Get kids hands-on with equipment and projects, practice, practice, practice. And this is what we were talking about earlier, that you guys said there's cameras and things that keep evolving. How do we, Ryan, make sure that your new school and others, I know you're the most willing, you're here, there's not another principal here, how do we make sure that what we did for the Bishop Gorman side with the solar panels and all that also happens in the next school, right? So that, I understand that one. It says use technology to connect employers with graduating seniors with appropriate skills. This is an answer to what you were saying, right? Ryan is saying, hey, I know them. I think what I hear here is, well, is there an online platform that maybe Ryan can put them on, right? So that I can maybe read their resumes, check their assessment results to see if they're a good match fit for me. Am I reading that correctly? Use technology?
Yeah,
that's correct? You want to add something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ryan. I think I'm writing down themes, and I'm hearing so many big problems that need to get solved, and then we're also talking about budgets and all of these other things. And what I'm hearing, though, and the one thing that stood out to me, Ryan, that you said was, hey, these kids aren't ready to come to you yet. They're not there yet, which I appreciate. And I think that when I think about the future and I think about the work that I do, I want to meet people where they are, right? So if I could wave a magic wand, that would be the one thing. They're more comfortable with technology. Let's all be okay with that and understand that that's where the world's going, right? Is there something that we can do to allow them a comfortable platform that also doesn't require us to reach out to you and take you away from important work, take us away from the jobs that we're doing in our family, because that's stuff that we have to do extracurricular. That would be my magic wand, is how do we connect in a way that's comfortable with those students. And then to just bridge the gap even further, because I also appreciate the fact that you're calling on all of us to be accountable to teaching our kids these soft skills and teaching these students what it means to work in a professional environment. So allow us that opportunity by connecting with those kids in a way that is using the technology that we have available to us. That's my magic
No,
wand.
that's great comments, Megan. I think, Adrina, you and Sanal are going to be our experts in this Pathful Connect. I'm not an expert. I don't know if how much that can do when holding resumes or stuff like that, but I know also that Employee MV, Ryan, we've talked about this before. How can we use the Employee MV online system to fill this role? Because again, it is time consuming. You have enough to do, they have enough to do. Create an easy way to create this interaction you're talking about. So I understand that request. This is something that's similar. Strengthen communication and network between the schools and local businesses, all of you, so they know when they're hosting job fairs. So again, I think whether it's the Pathful Connect platform, which it brings industry into the classroom, or it's us doing a better job with Employee MV, and when the school district is doing something, you all need to know about it. It can't be a secret. So I think I understand this request. This one is implementation, and if I'm not, I don't know if I'm not interpreting it right. Please stop me, whoever you are who wrote that. Implementation of more focused programs, certificate degrees, more that need to be more industry specific. Examples: financial planning, banking and real estate. It's got to be around here. Yeah. So Bobby, can you have a mic, please?
So what I mean by that, and I think it touches on Jerry and Larry's point, and something that CJ just mentioned, is there's not a lot of awareness, I guess, around like financial planning, right? So we went to a conference a couple of weeks ago, Tina and I did, with a wealth management client, and they were talking about the pipeline for their talent is meek at best, right? So how do you take college folks and say, okay, it's not just a finance degree, you're going to get a degree in financial planning. Maybe that prepares them for the various series designations you guys need, CFP, things like that, because my understanding, college doesn't prepare you for the CFP, right? It's an outside situation. Same thing in banking, you know, it's a finance degree, you go into banking, you don't really know anything about banking. And then the real estate side, which I have a lot of interest in, which I've been in my whole professional life in one way or another. I've always been an advocate for there being two separate kind of boards, I guess, or governing bodies, commercial real estate and residential. Hasn't happened, but what can you do? So in my industry, there's a very bright line path, right? K through 12, undergrad, LSAT, law school, bar exam, which sounds terrible, right? But there's nothing that prepares an attorney to do what I do because I went with the understanding that I'm never going to litigate. So I had to kind of piecemeal my education to do what I do, which is all transactional corporate business work. So if they implement those types of certificate programs or something like that, you might have a better idea of what you're going to do when you get out of school.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. One last one before we go to the last category, number 3. This one is interesting because it has the word mandatory on it. And we in our government world, that's a mandatory. It says mandatory hours to complete internships, site visits, etc. I need a little bit more clarity on that one. So yeah, Chelsea, tell me what you got in mind.
So as I mentioned earlier, I was not raised or educated here either. I actually went to a Lutheran school in Illinois, and in order to graduate, you had to have so many volunteer hours. I know a lot of people, or a lot of places will also have like internships that you have to complete and all of those things. But basically just having those required number of hours that you have to spend either outside of school time or I know some other schools from where I'm from have said, you know, obviously you're in school for 7 periods a day or 8 periods. Instead of 8 periods, you go to school for 7 periods that last hour or hour and a half. You'll spend volunteering or you'll do a site visit or something like that. So just a way that we can either set aside time for these kids to be able to find an industry that they want to be in. If it's the creative industry, awesome, would love to have it. If it's not, that's totally fine too. But figure out what moves you, because I think that there's so many people that are just doing jobs these days because it's easier that way, instead of finding out what are you passionate about, what do you love, what do you want to make a career. And that is also going to make a better employee if they're passionate about it.
Thank you for that clarity. I got it. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
To all the creative people over there, my daughter's video production teacher just gave me his information. It's Michael Mesa. So it's MesaMD at nv.ccsd.net. 626-589. So MesaMD at nv.ccsd.net. And it's 626-589-5742. Lots of exclamation points. He's really excited, so there you go.
And just FYI, I got him a new computer lab this last year.
It's fantastic. So this is the kind of, again, hopefully you see, not going to happen in a day or a week or a month or maybe even a year. Industry sector partnerships take time. And again, we've been very ambitious in our region. We said, again, don't wait to make that call because we've been very ambitious to do 7 in 6 months to get them started. But this is just one day. The work is after, which we found out after we started the first 3. Like, oh my God, that's a lot of work to actually deliver the stuff that needs to happen, to work on it, plant the seeds, water them, and nurture them, to actually make these partnerships successful. So let's go to the third one, which is DEI. Pick one thing, on the color that's left I think is green, pick one thing that would help us, that we could do together. Again, invest money in existing resources, go find other resources, but something that we can do as a region to help, build cultures of caring that get employee buy-in, how we can increase access again to the diverse communities. It was talked about today, how there's not the same opportunities in Title I schools. And again, in talent attraction, how can we as an industry, there's 2 industries here, make sure that when we're doing talent attraction, DEI is a core part of that. And then finally, of course, the spicy one, how do we affect equitable education funding? Jerry, stop me now. So let's see what you guys got for that one. While you write, I want Milt. Can somebody give Milt the mic back there? He's my colleague from Northern Nevada. George, over there, Milt. I want to hear your thoughts, Milt, while we write some ideas here for diversity, equity, inclusion. Again, I know that you in Northern Nevada are looking at doing this. First question, for how many industries? I probably talked you down now, right? But how many industries are you looking to stand up?
Well, initially, you have talked me down, that's correct. So what we're looking to do is to align with the Good Job Challenge grant that we got. And so we're going to do 4, which are manufacturing, logistics, information technology, and healthcare.
Okay, 4 of them. Yeah. And what are you walking away with today, having heard these employers from these industry sectors here in Southern Nevada?
Well, I'll walk away with that there's a lot of common themes amongst the different industries, and you mentioned that for the other industry sector council meetings that you had. So there's a lot of commonality between the different organizations and what their needs are. And also, there's a lot of collaboration here. I mean, you can see it just in this meeting, the first meeting, and so I think that that's great. And to your point, I can see there's a lot of work associated with this as well, but it's good work.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift. And then finally, or not finally, because I'm going to open it up and anybody has a question of my colleague from the north. But Milt, in the past, until now, there hasn't been regional industry sector, partnerships. I mean, some called partnerships in the past. And this is not picking on our friends at the state, right, Milt? Because you and I have to be best friends and want to be and are best friends with the state. But there's been attempts for almost over a decade now to convene these types of sector partnerships at the state level, right? What do you think, and the reality is they haven't been successful. Why do you think that is? Why, after today, what's the difference between what you saw, the attempt at the state and what you're seeing regionally?
Well, I think it does boil down to the regions, and so we're hearing the immediate needs and the crucial needs for those organizations in the areas that we're serving. I think that, again, at the state level, it really seemed a lot more abstract. It didn't seem like it was really based on the specific needs that businesses will be identifying. So had this conversation actually yesterday with Gowan and agreed that this is the way to go. The regional industry sector partnerships is definitely the way to go.
And I think that's why, obviously, it's a nationally proven model, right, that many regions are following, because there's proven success in other places. If you get the right partners, if your regional school district is in, which ours is, if your regional community college is in, if your regional institutions of higher learning, and your regional other skill acquisition partners like PBS, like our libraries. And so I think, yes. Goin, by the way, is here. Katie, you just started with Goin when? Yesterday? When? Monday. So Katie's the newest member of Goin. I'm not going to throw out the spot or ask her anything, but the Governor's Office of Workforce Innovation. Milt, do you have any questions for these employers? Because I'm going to ask them if they have some for you next.
I don't have any questions, but I think I would just add that don't take this for granted, because this is special. This doesn't happen everywhere. This is very intentional. Something that the reason I'm here today is so that we can use this as a model for what we would do up north. So this is really good what's happening here.
Milt, thank you. Any questions for my colleague from the north? I don't know if some of you have. Oh, here we go. Hugh.
I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. I'm actually heading up north again next week, so I can bring. I have a qualifiers for a scholarship tournament at the HyperX Esports Arena with the school district, and we're sending the #1 player from Reno at UNR all the way down here. So I understand the travel. So I'll be up there soon.
How does this young man find enough time in his day? Oh my God, and he doesn't, yeah. We need to hire this young man. There's too much energy, wow. Thank you, Hugh, for what you do. All right, so we got a few ones coming in to solve DEI. Somebody said, encourage volunteerism with CCSD. I need more clarity because I don't know if that means you, employers, or somebody. So who wrote encourage volunteerism with CCSD? Oh, Lori, tell me a little bit more. Who is supposed to volunteer and for what?
I know they've had, over the years, a number of different like community partnership type programs, but I think it's kind of up to us to make sure that we are participating in it, and that we're bringing colleagues into it as well. I know every time I send something out, hey, you have an opportunity to do this, everybody thinks it's great, and they usually show up, but there just needs to be some kind of way to make it easier to volunteer. But then I do think it comes back on the business community to make sure that we're stepping up and doing it through the avenues that are already there.
Okay, now I got you. So I think, again, Chanel and Adrina, without being an expert, but having been given a demo, I know that the online platform, Pathful Connect, does present businesses opportunities to come into the classroom, not just virtually, but also in presence. So thank you for that clarification. The next one, I know Larry's not gonna like, Jerry's not gonna like it either, because they said, everybody gotta come back, but somebody said flexible work, time, and location. Who wants to elaborate? Lori, go ahead.
So I had my son 20 years ago in financial services, and like Danette pointed out, when I started in 1996, 19% of Series 7 brokers were women. It's now moved up to a whopping 20% in that time period. When I had my son, I asked, well, how do people do this? And they all looked at me like, no one's had a baby. And I was like, okay, I got a lot of tips from the guys. They're like, and I'm like, come on, you were back to work the next day. So I actually did work from home back in the days of dial-up on my Dinosaur. And I split it between the two and went back and forth. So if I had not been able to do that, and again, I was an independent contractor, I wouldn't still be in the industry. I would have had to leave. And so whenever we talk about like workforce, I just got my former office manager back from a really nice corporate gig because they were giving her a hard time about going in 15 minutes later because her kids had switched schools. And they're like, we'll see if we can work around it. But I really think that that's where you get more women in financial services is by that flexibility. It's a great career. It has been wonderful for me, and I think that that type of flexibility and thinking outside the box, what's a regular, what's it look like, what's a time frame helps. It doesn't mean everybody stay at home all the time, because trust me, that did not work for my practice, and some people need to get their butts back in. But if it is working and you have that ability to do it, why wouldn't you do that, with the technology today? So I think it just opens up the people that are able to do the job.
Thank you for that clarity. This one is easy, I think, and we need to we've heard it before, Larry's gonna sponsor that PDR. We need to get the hospitality industry more engaged in education, right? Without killing the golden goose, right? Yeah. So that was good. Is that you, Larry? Yeah. Oh, see, I guess. I'm getting good at the end here. I know where these are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, they already do it. I mean, they do everything on this list, but they do it they do it for themselves. They don't do it for the community as a whole. So why not encourage them to work within the community, within the entire business community, to show us how they do it? I mean, they do it already, but it's all done. MGM does it for themselves. They don't do it for.
So Irene, another thing on our list, me and you, is when we talk to our MGM colleague at the LVGA, or maybe even the Vegas Chamber member of and I know MGM is just one company, it's just the one that always comes up, and we spent 20 years there.
Wonder why?
Let's bring that up. I'm sorry?
I wonder why.
Oh yeah, so let's bring that up as well. And then of course transfer to Sands and Boyd, Paul Anderson. The next chair of the Vegas Chamber is from Boyd Gaming, so a good topic, Larry, thank you. This one, I don't know, and forgive me, English is my second language, so allyship. Please teach, I'm sorry? Ally, thank you, see? Yeah. Allyship. Tell me more, because it says those with power, etc., sponsor those who don't look like them. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. So allyship is basically, not to pick on those of you in the room, but white males sponsoring people who don't look like them, either, different ethnicity or females, and the gender has become more of a spectrum apparently, right, now than just specific male or female. But there's so many studies. You could follow Harvard Business Review, McKinsey with Lean In, World Economic Forum. It's going to take 257 years for women to catch up to men in pay equity at the current rate. That was pre-COVID numbers, by the way. So the only way to really have diversity, equity, and inclusion is that, and I'm going to quote Jan Jones because she's the first person who I ever heard say this, we have to quit having conversations with ourselves, right? Latinas can't get more progress without white people, men and women, increasing their representation in the workforce in management positions. And so it's just being more intentional about how we're bringing in people at the entry level and then on all the way up, right? I know there was an article, and just to put a fine point on it, in the RJ where a very prominent, well-respected, all justified Black woman in our community sits on 48 boards. Why is that? She's checking the box for 47 of them. I'm just, right, there, we need to have, there's 40 other women in town who could do that, right? I'm just using that as an example. Nothing against, the person who's getting the recognition. So that's what, allyship is helping those who don't look like you is by definition what that means.
Thank you. I learned something today, allyship. Thank you so much. There's no comment. This next one says, show up and demonstrate that diversity exists and is deliberate, I think. Celebrated, thank you. Who wrote this? You? Oh, you figured it out. That's a C with an E inside of it, not a D. Practice diversity, equity, and inclusion in your daily life. I like that. Who is this? I want to hear more. Practice it in your daily life. CJ, okay. Here you go.
I can feel my heart beating faster already. I think it's really important to, building off of what Danette said, I think that is an important responsibility for all of us. And to, for all of us that do volunteer and have programs where we're bringing in people that are in college for, those sorts of things, I think it's important to be authentic, and I think still to this day, I'm almost 40 years old and I still feel like saying the letters LGBT in a professional space is uncomfortable for me. And so it's important for me personally to show up and be authentic, to let my Valley girl accent out occasionally, because that's who I am. And it's important for other people to see that that's okay, that there are people in financial services like that, and across the diversity spectrum, right? And so for any of us that represent one of these diverse communities, it's important for us to feel empowered to show up in these places and be our authentic selves, because the next generation is watching, and when they see themselves represented, that's when it clicks.
Thank you. CJ is yes, please give him a hand. That's awesome. CJ, the Valley, is that Encino, Northridge? Is that the Valley? No?
I don't know where Valley
comes from. Oh, okay. Because my daughter went to school in Simi Valley, and we used to drive by this place. Dad, that's the Valley. Or rather, she used to point at it. And I think it was Encino in Northridge. I don't know what was there. Oh, is that the Valley? Yes. Oh, okay. See? Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. My daughter used to just to show me that. Jared, Mike, over here, please. Sure.
Again, I don't know how to write my own note. I just go around following up on everybody else's conversation. But as far as diversity and inclusion in the financial services industry, I think we've come a long ways. And I'm going to use my bank in particular as an example. Bank of Nevada, if you've been here in the community for a little while, you may kind of know how we look. And we've looked that way since the bank was actually founded. Western Alliance, Bank of Nevada being part of Western Alliance, only 2 years ago started a very aggressive diversity and inclusion initiative. And we started that by forming business resource groups, actually within our financial institution. Now we have an African American group, a Latino group, our LGBTQ group, and of course we did add veterans and cancer and a couple of the others. And it's amazing the difference that it has actually made within our organization, because we now have employees that feel like they can show up at work and actually be who they are. and be who they are because we as a financial institution have embraced our employees for actually, who they are. And that will make I should say, that has made a huge difference, in the performance of the organization, in how others want to come to work for our organization. And it's sad to say that we're in 2022 and we're having this diversity and inclusion conversation, but I can't think of a better time to be having it.
Thank you. And for Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to quickly go through these because I'm seeing us rounding the corner. Just so you know what's going to happen, again, we're following this model, and everything you left of us today will have to be scrubbed, and we're going to send you a follow-up email, kind of either we can clearly identify the 2 or 3 things that we're going to do first, and if we can't, we're going to ask you for help by voting. But again, that's next. So let me finish this, which I like a lot. It says, stop politicizing DEI. I need to hear from you. Who are you? Yes, please, Christine, tell me what that means.
That just means when we have these conversations, even within our own organizations, we have them like we're having them here. Open, honest, and just addressing it like the business need it is and the reality of our lives in our community. There have been so many times when even HR departments, I've heard people say things like, all right, we got to do this DEI thing, they make us do this. And how we talk about it and how we interact with people, if you create a culture at your organization where you call people diversity hires or you say we have to interview somebody because of this, then that creates a culture and it forms
Affirmative action, right?
Yeah,
It starts to feel like it's just.
it doesn't, it's not the spirit
It's
of
not
what this
celebrating,
really is.
right.
And research shows that businesses and organizations with diverse workforces and diverse managements fare better in every sector. So it's just good business sense and we need to treat it as such.
Thank you for that clarity. This process that we're following has some rules, right? That says you got to call out notes that come in with 2 words. So whoever wrote this either knows the process because he or she is getting called out because it says unique advocates. So I need to know what that means. So is Hugh? Okay. What do you mean by unique advocates?
I mean, a lot of things. I think everyone here is unique as well because we all come from really, really, really diverse and different backgrounds. But that's how it is with kids nowadays too. Especially as someone who was born and raised here. I think a lot of the resemblance of what we deal with in our daily lives. I mean, what a lot of people don't know, I was actually homeless this year before I ran for office, and I was still starting my nonprofit, and I was still doing this. And it was like really hard. And then I recently found out that my dad deported my own mom at 1, so then I was like left with like a single father, and like the whole advocacy of like abuse and stuff like that falls on. But it's what you do to stand on top of it. It's the diversity of getting past all those hurdles. It's the diversity of whoever you're hiring has a story. I think Sal Skills was right, and especially when he was saying that like, you have to be honest, you have to be upfront about not who you are, but also what you're doing and why you want to change something. It really changed the entire background and landscape of who you hired. Last night, I was interviewing someone like at 9 p.m. at night because esports can do that. And I was asking this guy, mainly, particularly, what's one thing you want to do to change our whole like organization, or what's one thing you want to do? Just asking that question gives them not just the power of what they want to do, but it tells them their own story, their own backgrounds. I built this way, or I didn't felt this way. The story was the guy was going to the pro scenes for video games. Wow, cool. But then one of the pro players said, hey, you're going to school and you're playing the game. You should quit school. You'll be way better at the game. The guy looked at like him and he thought it was crazy, and he's like, no, never will I ever quit school. And It's just asking those questions of what do you want to do here? What do you want to do in our industry? What do you want to do in our business? That really says who you are. And uniquely, they'll speak for themselves.
Thank you. I want to commend you for your, not just vulnerability, but your, when you speak with a transparency and an honesty that's inspiring. So thank you, Hugh, for being here. I'll do one last one before we, oh, yes, Danette wants to touch on it. Please, Mike, over here.
Yeah, I want to thank you also, Hugh. I'm going to sound like a commercial for the nonprofits in town. I keep talking about junior achievement. Another one in town, Teach for America, is working on a learner portrait to instead of trying to pigeonhole students into certain types of learning types, but think of it more as an individual portrait. And I think if we look at our potential employees, current employees, and future employees from the lens that Hugh's describing, right, is that unique individual instead of, who's on the resume, did they go to Harvard or not, right? Just, or UNLV, right? Just as an example. We'll have a higher retention rate. People will feel like they belong to our organizations. And so I think that putting that lens on it, each of us as hiring managers or companies that are looking to recruit and retain, we have the ability to change that too. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Danette, for putting an exclamation point on that. Final one I want to read is, put resources behind DEI initiatives, so not just words, but actions, right? Resources. Don't ask your diverse employees to be a spokesperson for their race or identity for free. I'm clear on that. You guys all agree? That's going on the board. Okay, so we have work to do, as you can see. We're going to be in communication with you for a long time, as long as you want to be a part of this partnership and start to see the fruits come, to fruition, and the initiatives that you've heard about that we're going to work with the school district, our community college, our institutions of higher ed, our skill acquisition partners, the community. Even though we try again today, we've tried to make this mostly about talent development. It always leaks in other things, right? I mean, funding for education is talent development. But taxes, I heard today about, small businesses, they need all the help they can get, not more burdens. So we're going to go across the room, Jerry, and I'm going to come to you first since you're my chair. And so be prepared. But I want to hear your final thought. And since we have 10 minutes, 30 seconds, each one of you, your final thought on what is the one thing, you've heard a lot. If you had to pick one thing, and we have 3 categories, what would you like to see implemented in the next few weeks or months, right? One thing that you want done. And again, I've shared with you what other partnerships I've asked for, and it's not that it's going to happen, it's just it helps us make notes here, check marks about, oh, this one's getting a lot of votes. And so, Jerry, I'll come to you first. If you can give her a mic and say, of all the stuff you've heard, perhaps, what is the one thing that you really resonated and you want to see done?
I think that one thing would be, I should say, either connect, work with, collaborate, or be a partner with the Clark County School District. I think it all starts with education. And if we can start doing any of those things, connecting, partnering, any of those that connects us with the education arm of our community, we can start making a difference.
Thank you, Jerry. Lori?
And just to add to that, I think like a business education coalition, financial services, we really don't have a lot of starting jobs for high school graduates, but whether it's connecting, with CSN and then even assisting CCSD with, maybe financial education, I think that there's a lot that can be done.
Thank you, Lori. Michelle?
Thank you. I think that for me, we talked about a lot of great things today, and I am inspired by many of the commentary that was shared. I would say to really focus on increasing the talent pool within Las Vegas, and that's starting with our schools. So I wrote that I was really excited about the middle school platform. I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Very much so.
Thank you, Michelle. CJ?
An interesting statistic that I would add to today's conversation is that the average age in my industry is 55 or 58, something like that. So I don't know if the solutions are immediate term in financial services. You know, people don't really start caring about insurance until they're in their 30s or 40s. You know, they've seen a couple things go wrong. So
pensions or retirement or.
yeah, right. Most people don't start thinking about retirement until 40 or 50 years old. So I'm not sure that there are immediate solutions, but I definitely agree with what Jerry was saying. And I maybe would combine that with what Danette was saying earlier around junior achievement. There are already community partners that have relationships to get volunteers inside of the schools. And so I think my number one would be kind of job shadow or reverse job shadow, bringing people in the workforce into schools. I mean, it might be a 20-year play in financial services for somebody that's 15 or 16 years old, but you know, if they just get a little bit of financial literacy, that's great. But then that exposure to all of our industries, that they even exist, I think is important for the youth to see.
Thank you, CJ. Bobby?
So I think selfishly, it would be nice to see Boyd implement some sort of transactional program, you know, for our purposes, but I think for our clients' purposes, it's more working with them to see what we can do to help them obtain and maintain talent locally. And I know you've helped us with that on several occasions, so I appreciate it. But I think that's important to maintain the relationships that we all have and build our networks to be able to help our folks.
Thank you, Bobby. Larry, the one thing.
One thing, well, it's hard to say one thing.
Right?
Education,
I know.
education. We keep on hearing education. My one thing though, if other than education, would be diversification. I think we really, in my industry, is probably the least diversified industry throughout the country. It doesn't just exist here. So I just think diversification is critical. It's a critical component to continuing this community to grow.
Thank you, Larry. Danette?
My one thing, I was listening to Ryan, pre-K mandatory education, been working on it with United Way for decades, and you know, we'll be working on it again next legislature. Irene, right?
Thank you, Danette. Brandon?
Yeah, no, thanks for the time to be here today. It's been very interesting. Yeah, I'm hearing things, and I you know, we haven't had issues in our company. You know, we've had people from, you know, straight out of UNLV, straight out of UNR, you know, diverse backgrounds and cultures. So, yeah, for me, again, it's the biggest thing is just still to keep the government out of our business. That's it.
I like it. Thank you, Brandon. Irene, you got that down, right? You.
I was told to speak my mind, but I think it works better if I speak from my heart. I think it's not just opening the doors of opportunities anymore for everyone. I think it's literally just opening up the gates and having everyone be excited for what we do. We're in like really cool places and really cool industries. Like, I don't do them for a reason, but I think it's really cool just to be here, and especially having more of this as well, because that's the transparency that literally this entire community needs. And we build Las Vegas, not Las Vegas just builds us.
Thank you. Carl?
To go off what CJ said, I'd like to see opportunities from educators for our industry to get involved with exposing students to our tech and best practices. Just getting us in the classroom a little bit more.
No, you said it many times. We heard you loud and clear. Thank you, Carl. Jessica?
We'll make it happen.
I don't think at this point I have anything else to highlight as one of those highlighted points because everybody's already said everything that was on my mind.
Pick your favorite one.
My favorite one is probably finding a way to teach young people that they can have a future that is fruitful and successful doing anything as long as they apply themselves and want to do a good job at it.
Thank you, Jessica. Christine?
The fact that we identified similar pain points as all the other sectors, I think also illustrates the fact that we can all collaborate cross-sector, so finding ways for collaboration.
Thank you, Christine.
I'm going to agree with Carl and Jessica as well. Kind of a combination is allowing us to get into the school systems and the communities and show that you can have a fruitful career in the art industry, because that was something that I didn't know about until I was already into college, and if I had known earlier, I could be in a completely different spot right now. But just letting them see firsthand that there is promising career in this industry.
Right. I know that you guys have made Sonal and Ryan grateful. This is probably their favorite meeting. They're like, they can't wait to make it happen, as they said, with you guys. So, Megan.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna probably just echo what everyone else has said, but Jerry and Danette, I agree very much with the connection points with CCSD especially, but also allowing for the wonderful work that you all have already done and the platforms you've created to create more on top of that to allow for those easy connection points as something that I'd love to see. In addition to understanding all of the other resources, Danette, I'll talk with you after this, but all of the other resources that connect with CCSD and the students, especially underrepresented students, being able to have that all in one place is something that I'd love to see sooner rather than later. And then how this is pulled through to allow for this conversation to happen more often than just right now.
She did more than one, but I want you to capture it. No, that's all right. I love the one she said, a repository for all the, can you repeat that part, all the resources in one place?
Yeah, Project 150 is another one. I know there's a lot of other resources here in the area that connect with underrepresented students especially. This may exist.
Yep.
I don't know if it does.
Gotcha.
I just moved back to Vegas from Reno. I was there for about 15 years.
Wow.
And I know that there's a lot of other touch points that as an employer.
I'm gonna get closer so they can hear you, because George
took your mic away. I don't know what
He
George
stole
did.
it from me. He was tired of hearing me. No, I want, I know that there are a lot of other resources, disparate resources that especially connect with underrepresented students here in the city. I would love to be able to go to one place to understand how employers can connect with those resources in addition to CCSD.
We hear you, I heard you now, so that's gonna be on there. So Christian, just for framework, first things, I know you're a busy guy. Somebody important, more important than me probably called you, but thanks for coming back. The question is, of all the stuff you've heard today, what would you like to see implemented? If you got to pick one thing, what would you like to see happen next?
Yes, sir. First off, thanks. It's great spending time with everybody here today. Thank you for hosting. I really appreciated listening to the educators in the room today, and Ryan's comments in particular, taking a holistic approach to the challenge, right? It's not just on them, but it's the community, it's the parents, and it's everybody collectively doing our parts. So I like that and like to see some effort, and I will make a point to meet with every one of you next week.
Awesome. Christian, thank you. So we are right on time. As you can see, one of the things we try to do is to, with our actions, not just our words, tell you that we know your time is valuable. And we so appreciate that you spent 3.5 hours with us here. Again, I know today it seems like there's still a lot to be done, but we're going to do it one thing at a time. And so hopefully you will hold us accountable. We'll be in contact with you. We're going to also offer you opportunities to be involved. If, for example, the people that said we want a video, well, you better meet with us and do the script with us and do, so if you're going to be involved, you're going to be involved. We're going to also hold you accountable. So please give yourselves a hand. Thank you for being here today. We do appreciate you, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Have a great, productive rest of your day. Thank you so much.